everybody. Welcome to the Game Informer Show. I'm your host, Ben Hansen, live from E3 2018. Thanks for joining us or listening to the audio feed. I'm here with Ben Reeves.
Hey, how's it going?
Real good. Kyle Hilliard.
I'm excited.
Imran Khan.
Woo E3.
Hey, is that sarcasm within the first 10 seconds of this
No,
podcast?
that was a genuine Woo
All right,
E3.
good. Okay, what are we doing here, Imran?
We are here to talk about the best moments and surprises and the like from the E3 press conferences.
I feel like I was a horse in a cage at the start of the Kentucky Derby. Is this how this works? Like, I've just been
you got
raring
that
to go.
metaphor. You
I've
just
been
nailed
waiting
it.
to go. Watching all these press conferences, right? So we got EA's, Microsoft's, Bethesda's, Square's, Ubisoft, Sony. Nintendo technically is tomorrow morning for us, so we're not talking about it yet. I'm sure we'll cover it on tomorrow's podcast, because in theory, we're going to be doing these Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, just as many as possible, with Game Informer editors, also developers swinging by this lovely couch, because we are in a random apartment in Los Angeles, everybody, so I hope it sounds okay overall for everybody. But we're breaking down our 5 favorite moments, and then hopefully at the tail end, there's still some surprises that we have to go through as well, because there's so much to cover. Kyle?
Yes.
How do you feel about E3 so far?
Well, Hanson, I will say I'm generally, like, overall, big umbrella, E3 2018, a little underwhelmed. But I definitely have 5 favorite things that I've seen for sure. So, like, there are things I'm excited to talk about, but overall, I'm not, like, there's nothing that's, like, blowing my mind yet or that has me, like, super duper excited.
Really?
Yeah.
Reeves, are you excited?
Yeah, you know what? I actually feel the opposite, because I went in, like, a week ago, I was feeling like this was just from what we knew, like, not going to be a very good E3. And after these press conferences, I'm like, you know what? There were a few good surprises in there. There's more than I kind of realized. Like, I'm excited now to go and check out these games on the floor.
It's such a great reminder that every year we hear little driplets and droplets, reset eras lighting up with rumors around the street talking about, like, oh, everything's leaked. E3 is ruined. This year, no more surprises. And I feel like this year, I was still blown away probably a dozen times.
Yeah.
Oh,
even if there were no
dozen.
surprises, it was still like great to see some of that stuff.
But
Yeah.
there were surprises. Even someone who's plugged in as our news editor, Imran Khan, like, you must have been surprised a couple times, right?
There were a couple of things that was like, I had no idea this existed, and this is super cool.
All right, we'll get
Yeah.
into all this. I'm sick of these vague assessments. E3, let's get specific. So we each have 5 favorite things. I don't know what anybody else has. I hope we didn't choose the exact same 5, but I'd be very surprised if somebody has my very bad choices. Ben Reeves, the number 5, 5th most exciting thing you've seen so far from the press conferences at
Fifth
E3
most
2018.
exciting thing. This is kind of a weird one, but it's Starfield.
Yes!
One of my
There we go,
favorite
boy.
things, and it's like dumb because they really didn't show much, but
They showed a fair amount.
did they? Like, no, they showed like a space
satellite.
station.
You can figure out what that game is by the fact it's Bethesda Game Studios and it's space.
Did
Wait a
you
minute.
think
What
of
is a
something else?
Bethesda
Holy
game in
Lord,
space?
I was thinking of Starlink. And that's what I was excited about.
That has
Wow.
different things.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
I am excited about Bethesda sci-fi space, but I
Yeah.
have no clue what that game is going to be. I mean, is it a first-person RPG?
I mean, they kind
guess.
of
I'll
only
go with
make
yes.
like
Okay, fine, all right.
That's what excites me about it. Is like just knowing that studio's pedigree and like them going out into space. Like I'm 100% on board.
So all we know is they said single-player RPG for next generation of consoles, and they've been working on it for a long
Wait,
time.
I'm sorry. They like current generation or next?
They said
So
next generation.
there-
They said next generation.
Todd
Yeah.
Howard's wording was very. It left some wiggle room.
Okay.
He was saying like, this is our game for the next generation, which that could be a very buzzword thing.
Yeah.
But
It could be
considering
like our children.
Yeah.
Like the game for
Yeah.
our children.
considering how much buzz is going around about next consoles at E3, I would believe that it's for the next generation.
Could be that they're prepping for the next generation. Although I think the next generation consoles is probably at least 2 years out, right?
Yeah, but so is that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But okay, all we know is it showed a planet, and then it showed like a ship with like a bunch of solar sails, and then it's not even clear in that stupid little trailer if the ship is moving or if something's coming to it. Like, it doesn't like do the Enterprise just warp out. It's something more abstract
Yeah.
and trippy than that. But in theory,
And that's why I'm excited about it.
because you just don't know anything about it.
Well, I like I said, it's a weird one because like there's so little to go on with that, and
Yeah.
it's like mostly based on the pedigree and mostly based on like, oh, I would really like to know what those guys do with a sci-fi like in space type thing.
Well, forget sci-fi. Just the idea of those people in Bethesda, they've been working on it for 7 years at least, and like that they're still so passionate about it that they're planting their flag and saying we have the most reliable IP of all time with Elder Scrolls, but first we want to do something different. Like I'm following their passion.
You think this is what they've been working on since Skyrim?
Well, they said in that Todd Howard, Jeff Keighley interview. Imran Khan, you wrote the news story about it, but from what I understood about it, it's they've been working on it for a long time, and they registered the trademark 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So in theory, they were working on it even before that.
That
right?
name has been floating around for a very long time, and people have been wondering, like, is this the year Starfield gets revealed? And I guess Bethesda was like, finally, let's just say yes.
Totally. It's awesome. I'm so happy they did that.
Yeah.
It's a great choice, Reeves.
That's right.
Good job, Reeves.
So, okay, do you want it to just be No Man's Sky with Bethesda Quest shoved in there?
Some kind of No Man's Sky meets Mass Effect type thing. I'd be cool with that, but I'm sure Bethesda will make it way buggier. So.
Yeah, I can't wait to see Bethesda bugs in space. Like,
just
what
like
happens when there's
giant
no
black
gravity
holes.
anyway?
Yeah.
If you fall through the ground, you're like falling into space.
Yes.
So it's fine.
Look, there's always a wormhole nearby, and it's messing up all the physics. Everything's crazy. There's cheese falling out of the sky.
But if there's any studio out there who I think can take like the Mass Effect style RPG and go even somehow bigger with it, I think it could be Bethesda.
Totally.
I would also like it to remain more open than like a Mass Effect. You know,
Yeah.
like let you travel between planets and stuff like that,
Sure.
like on your own, as opposed to like based on what the story is asking.
Right.
you to
Remember
do.
when EA funded BioWare to that exact mission statement with Mass Effect? Do you remember how that turned out with Andromeda? The idea of like you can explore any planet and it'll have quests and it'll have a story. Like that is such a tall order.
Yeah.
Even Bethesda, even though now that they have 600 studios and 6 million employees or whatever, beyond just the 100 that made Skyrim.
I didn't say what was feasible. I said what I want.
Well,
Okay.
maybe it's
Come on, man.
Maybe it's smarter to stick to like a solar system or something. Just like
Right.
Couple
maybe
planets.
5 planets or something. You know, just a few.
Right. So go to like, Venus, the asteroid belt, Mars, the tower, just like the
I think you got
Destiny
'em all.
scope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, to your question, Ben, about what do you want this to be No Man's Sky, I want this to be what I wanted No Man's Sky to be.
Okay.
Like that initial...
No Man's Sky next?
Yeah, I mean, I want that, like, going to alien planets and meeting these aliens and, like, are not necessarily making friends, but going on quests and discovering their culture.
Marrying them.
Murdering lots of them.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. All right. There we go. Kyle Hilliard, number 5, man.
Oh gosh, number 5. What did I write down?
Could have seen this coming.
Sea of Solitude.
What the hell?
I was really intrigued by that. Overall, EA's press conference was pretty underwhelming generally, and,
Yeah.
and mostly that comes from me. Just I'm not a big Battlefield guy. Anthem's not really doing it for me personally, but I really like those like indie games that just seem to be messing around in like the character's head. Like I don't know what's going on.
It looks very
confusing. It's
Papo
weird.
EO.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm really intrigued by it. I really like what they showed. It looks really cool. Like
you-
it kind of reminds me of Rhyme a little bit, which I
Yeah.
enjoyed.
Did you notice that EA seems to have hit on that formula of let's get out these independent developers that are very extremely earnest and are not
Yeah.
like overly rehearsed, and they're telling you about their game, they're spilling their guts, and like everyone loves those, like Yarny and like this Sea of Solitude.
I mean, as
Yeah.
far as what EA is doing, like those are my favorite things. Like they're putting their muscle behind like these little weird projects. Like
Yeah.
I'm more interested in that than the stuff that they're throwing like their big AAA stuff.
Right.
So I want to play that. That
And
looks really
speaking
cool.
of solitude, we're not in it right now, and chat informs me, Reeves, because we have a live chat feed here, that you should stop scratching your nuts on air.
What are you talking about?
Everyone's talking about it.
I like to scratch my nuts.
Just move your hand. Will you hold his hand, Kyle?
I don't want to hold his hand. He's been
Please.
Oh, because my hand's down here?
Yeah, and you're doing a little
And
tickle
because I'm
motion.
scratching my nuts too?
Put your hand on your knee, you
There you go.
savage. Jesus. All right, see you
Should I
I'm glad that
scratch
chat is
Kyle's
really
nuts?
getting
Like-
involved in our conversation about video games.
It
here.
really improves it. No, but CS Solitude, and I'm just amazed that they devote so much time on the stage to these indie games. And like,
Sure.
just the idea that we had a Way Out last year, Unravel 2 combined with Sea of Solitude this year.
Yeah.
That was like a 30-minute block. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah, and it was just it's always a good sign, like when press conference happens, they show something, and the first thing I want to do after it's over is go watch that one trailer again.
Oh,
you know,
right.
And that was one that I was like, I
Oh,
want to
that
watch
was the
that
one
again.
there, huh?
Yeah, for EA certainly. yeah.
And so what we know is that people turn into monsters.
When they're lonely.
And
Sometimes there's big monsters.
Okay.
You can jump in the water. and it's kind of creepy.
It's just the art style. Just admit it's the art style.
That
man.
art style,
Sure.
it's
Is that
like
an offensive
95 to 100% of the reason why that game looks cool.
Yeah, you're totally right. That's a good choice, though. I'm glad to
I
represent
know it is. That's why I had it as my number 5.
And I agree with Kyle. Like, just having the developer up there to talk to us about their game and get excited about it,
Yeah.
like, that's kind of refreshing in this day and age. Which,
Yeah.
because so many, for the last several years, we've had just like trailer after trailer. Like, people are commenting on it with the Sony press conference, how it just feels like it's a bunch of trailers.
Yeah, for sure. Imran Khan, number 5, man.
Number 5 for me would be the new Wolfenstein.
What Youngblood?
Oh,
Yes.
interesting.
Isn't that weird?
It is one of the games I had no idea. Like literally
Yeah.
nothing I ever heard about it at. And like they are not only doing a new Wolfenstein, they are doing one in a way that is not anything like the other games.
Which is weird because in theory, this is like the capper, the end of the trilogy for
Yeah.
the new Wolfenstein era. And for like the final leg of that marathon to just pivot so quickly and so drastically, it's wild.
I'm sure JV would disagree, but I think if they had made another one of those games that's exactly like the other two, it would have been great, but not really interesting. It wouldn't have fit that revolutionary tone that game had.
Well, this doesn't close off the trilogy.
I think they said that
Is
this
that
is
what
like
the
a
plan is?
three-way
Can
thing.
you do a
three-game.
time jump and then just also go backwards? I guess because like this is his children that are adults and they're like fighting their own revolution.
Well, I think they could leave it open, kind of vague on like what happened with him and Hitler, right?
They definitely. I think they did frame it as like this is a trilogy. The next one, they even said in the Giant Bomb stream last year. I don't know if you remember. They said like, yeah, Mecha Hitler's going to be the next one. Like, of course, BJ's going to take him out. But
So-
now the question is this a full-fledged Wolfenstein? And they framed it that way.
Yeah.
So are the twins, the twin daughters of BJ Blazkowicz, going to get to take out Mecha Hitler before BJ does?
That would be weird, unless it's like
Really?
a flashback mission. It's
Well-
like, hey, remember what your dad did to Hitler?
It takes place in the 80s in Paris. So maybe it's just, boy, these Nazis, they keep on rolling. We just cannot stop them. What are we going to do about it?
Okay, take a step back a little bit.
Please.
This is Wolfenstein 3? Or is it just like the
Kyle,
like,
that's what we've been talking
No,
about.
I know,
for
I know.
years.
I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, but I thought it was just like a big standalone expansion because they've done
So-
that
No.
before, right?
I think if it were a standalone expansion, it would be this year. But
Yeah.
if they're saying end of next year,
Dude, they got to get that Switch version out, man. They're working hard.
but honestly, like the fact that it's two twin daughters and like they're taking one of the things Wolfenstein does best is it takes that machismo of BJ Blazkowicz and it inverts it and he makes him like a vulnerable, fragile person that still, he goes out there and does what he has to do.
Talks to himself a lot.
Yes. So having it be like twin daughters, it shouldn't be as big a deal as it is, but it's a very interesting
Yeah,
to
it's very cool.
Like we said, cap Wolfenstein with, I guess, femininity.
Yeah. By the way,
It's
I was
interesting.
sitting next to JV when that was announced.
Oh, my God.
And I mean, I'll speak for him. He was pretty excited.
He had a kind of a freak out on Slack,
yeah.
and then on
I
Twitter.
got to witness it live in person. It was amazing.
That sounds pretty good. Young Blood or Young Bloods.
I think it's Young Blood.
Yeah. And I like that. It looked like they were playing a tape of BJ, like playing advice, like, here's what you got to do, daughters. And then they also had like Southern accents where it's like,
Yeah,
are
that
they-
part confused me. Did he go raise them in the South?
Yeah, were they living in Paris or is the start of the game them being dropped off in Paris? Like, you're the two killers raised to kill Mecha Hitler from the get-go.
All right, I've been training you for this for your whole life. I'll pick you up in a month. Have fun on your summer vacation.
Enjoy your 3-hour kind of sort of sequel.
I'd be okay with that like tone of this is what we did on our summer vacation and just killing Nazis.
Totally.
Writing
Lollipop
letters to
chainsaw.
BJ.
What are
Dear
the chances? What are the chances co-op is in the game?
They
They said
announced
that.
that. Yeah.
So
100%, I would say.
Is that what we're saying? I'm sorry, I was writing a news story.
Yeah, no, they announced it's co-op, which got a reaction, which was a weird trend throughout E3 overall this year that I couldn't quite wrap my mind around. There was a weird trend of, and this is a co-op game, or this is an online game, or this is a shared world. And the audience applauded, where it's like, I felt like the gamer-ass gamers out there would be a little bit hesitant about that push towards
Yeah.
online.
Remember last year when Bethesda had that big like Susan
Yeah.
Sarandon like bit that like
Yeah.
we save single player games.
Right, exactly. They had
then,
Linda
like-
Carter out there, like, all of our games are single player forever because we're hearing you. And then Bethesda's press conference this year is just dishing out the online games. And
Here's
people,
all, yeah, multiplayer.
there were technically applause out there. I don't know who that was in the crowd, but I feel like it's not capturing the heart of my gaming community, at least.
Well, I mean, it's interesting to note that for Fallout, I mean, they came out and they were like, by the way, you can play this game alone. Like
Yeah.
they made sure to say that early on, you know.
Right, including with Anthem, they went out of their way. Which, by the way, we had a special podcast in this feed, the last episode back. If you want to learn more about Anthem, it's our new cover story.
You can read the whole cover story.
You can read
on
the whole cover
website.
story online. Joe and I talked about it for like 45 minutes, so check that out. If you
It's a
haven't
good
checked it
cover
out
story
yet.
too, by the way.
It's one of the good ones.
Yeah, one of the
Really?
good ones. Yeah, I read it.
Wow, I hadn't heard that. My number 5. Look, I'm no fan of snark. I try and combat it. I yell at Kyle whenever he's too sarcastic, everything like that. I loved that everybody got their snark out of the way so early because the first announcement at E3 was Battlefield 5 will have a Battle Royale mode. And everyone's like, oh, here we go, Battle Royale jokes, here we go, on Twitter, like they're the funniest MFers in the universe. And then that was the end of it. No one else throughout any press conference that I can think of announced
watch
a Battle
the-
Royale mode.
The PC Gamer Show?
Well, they started with a joke about it.
Yeah, didn't they have a number of them, though, over the course of that?
Oh, I'm sorry, the PC Gamer. In Devolver, they opened with like a Battle Royale announcement joke, and then
Yeah.
they like slit that person's throat. Or
I believe the
something and
PC
killed them.
Gaming Show had a few Battle Royales. In it.
Okay, all right.
But I agree with you. Yeah, like and it's also that thing. It's like, why are you harp on this a lot, Hanson, and I agree with you that
Yeah.
people they're like, oh, Battle Royale, here we go. It's like, that's a real fun mode. Like,
a great
I
mode.
don't mind other games embracing it, especially if they're really great shooters.
I understand
you know?
if there's concrete proof now that it's like stripping the quality out from Battlefield.
Yeah.
And I don't want that, but let them make the mode. And even like Lars, who's a creative genius over there at DICE, like he even said, like, yeah, a lot of people play Battle Royale modes within our office. Like, of course we want to do something with it. Like, it's coming from a passionate place, makes sense business-wise. It's a fun format. The Battlefield series works great combined with it. In theory,
Right.
that's, chocolate and peanut butter.
Well,
I want to see it.
Out of all the big shooter franchises out there, I feel like Battlefield's probably the one that's most suited for that
Right.
kind of a match. 'Cause
Right.
They got the bigger maps and whatnot anyway.
Also,
So
they
it's
took-
a no-brainer.
No-brainer. And they took the classy route of just calling it Royale. Moving on. That's how they called it. It's very interesting. And
No
they said,
ambiguity. Just
Yeah.
this is what it is.
more later.
In case you're curious, though, 6 minutes to the first Battle Royale announcement.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
See, you're one of those MFers that was counting it. I know you were waiting for more snarky tweets.
So wait, your number 5 is that they got the snark out of the way?
I like both that they got out of the way, and then it seemed to die down for the big press conferences, not PC in general. But then also, I'm excited to play Battlefield's Battle Royale mode.
So that the snark got out of the way with the Royale announcement.
Correct.
I'm confused. Okay.
That's the number 5. Put it in writing, dude.
All right.
All right, slap it on a plastic
It's done.
lunchbox. What do you got, number 4, Reeves?
Number 4. It's a game called Cyberpunk 2077.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a very interesting choice. I would say it's the 4th most exciting thing at this year's E3. We actually did a video
Yeah.
with me and 2 other people who are there, Joe and our new intern, Jacob Geller.
He did a great job.
And he did a really good job.
Yeah,
He's got a great beard.
And they broke it down for like 15 minutes. But
Oh, yeah.
also, I love just, we can talk about Microsoft's press conference later, I assume. But they closed it with Cyberpunk, and it's so cheeky and cheesy. But I do love that ending of like, oh, someone's hacking into the feed.
Oh,
Here we
yeah.
go. Phil Spencer's going away. We have one more announcement. And then they get to Cyberpunk
So you know what the
2077.
best part of that was is
Yeah.
in the presentation before they did the world premiere thing, they show a bunch of codes.
Yeah.
They were all just Witcher 3 codes that people could just use.
That's awesome. Except for there's that race where I'm sure people started
Oh,
typing
for
it in,
the
and they're
actual
like,
game?
Damn it.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool. I didn't know
And they
that.
just gave away a bunch of Witcher 3 on Xbox One codes.
So, yeah, and I agree with you, Hanson. Like, I love the, like, oh, one last thing before the end of the show. And I feel like that's died down in recent years, so it was fun to see it
Yeah.
come back. And then to talk about the game itself, like, I think that game looks cool. This was mostly a world-building trailer, so we didn't get see a lot of gameplay, but I think the world they showed off looked really interesting to me.
It
Some would
looked-
say generic Cyberpunk.
Ooh,
but
that
someone
sounds
said-
good.
Some would say Ghost in the
yeah.
Shell. Yeah.
If you're gonna
But-
have like a game called Cyberpunk, it's gonna probably be generic Cyberpunk.
I like the way it looks, by the way. I know.
Yeah, but like they made you feel like you're actually there. Like the areas they showed you, you're in a boxing ring, you're like in a taxi with a bunch of dudes. Like, they're showing you like the parts of a world of a city that feels sort of lived in.
Yeah, it definitely struck me as odd. I don't think I was into that trailer as a lot of people. I'm curious about the game. Obviously, that pedigree is top notch, but from the tone they set from their first trailer 5 years ago, where it looked darker and there's the lady on the street with the blades, like that was the game I've been preparing myself for 5 years now.
Okay.
And then this trailer came out, and it just felt 40% more Sunset Overdrive, 40% more Ready Player One in particular than I was expecting. Like the little shot of the kid in the room with like the gun and the VR It's like, this is not what I was expecting. I understand this is Cyberpunk, but based on that first trailer, this is not the vibe I was
But to be fair,
thinking
like
of.
The Witcher 3 is like 3 different games when you like in terms of tone, depending
Sure.
on where you are in that game.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, it was the color though. There's so much
Yeah.
more color than I expected. I expected Blade Runner at night, and we got something different. We got like the brightest parts of Cowboy Bebop or something, with a
Right.
lot more color. I thought it looked good. I'm excited for it.
I did like that after the show they said that the character in that trailer is not necessarily he's not the main design character. There's a character creator, which that made the game way more interesting to me because like I didn't really dig that guy's design and being able to play with however I want and like that's Geralt is a character. I don't need this to be Geralt. I need this to be whoever I want it to be.
I think they said V. Is that what they said?
Yeah, and I think
Okay.
didn't they reveal later that you can create your own character?
Right,
Yeah.
they did in that hidden
Yeah,
text,
yeah,
like
that's
along
right.
with the Witcher 3 codes, which is awesome. Yeah, they
Yeah.
also had like hints of like, I know there's a lot of shooting in this trailer, but don't worry about it. You can create your own character. It's very smart and very fun. It was a really great announcement, and obviously, hey, I hope there's gameplay, but we'll see what else they're showing at
But
E3.
they
like
got
if Phil
the snark
Spencer
out of the way with
disappeared.
that Battlefield trailer, so there wasn't any snark associated
Right.
with this.
Yes, exactly. Kyle Hilliard, what do you got?
Number 4, the game that you confused earlier for the game that Reese brought up, Star Fox and Starlink.
I'm so excited for Starfield.
Oh my gosh, really?
No, Kyle, I'm with you. What is this? What excited
So
about
it's
it?
the toys to life aspect of it is less exciting to me, but like
Did they even show that?
they showed
Yes.
that they didn't show like exactly how it functioned, but they showed the figures. They had like a Star Fox one.
They
on
showed the
hand,
Star Fox one, handed it
which
to
was
Miyamoto.
cool.
Yeah.
And like I don't even fully understand exactly how Star Fox is implemented into it, but like I was disappointed by Star Fox Zero. I still really like that those characters and that idea of like a good space shooter, and I like that Nintendo's willing to give Star Fox to like what looks like a cool space shooter with an
Totally.
interesting story. Like I when they first showed it, there was nothing I found particularly intriguing about it. But seeing it, I guess that was today, right? Earlier today.
Yep.
yeah.
They had characters with like cutscenes, like animated cutscenes. Like it almost looks kind of like a I don't know the best way to describe it, like a CG animated like cartoon show or something.
Right.
Like
It
that.
looks like the Ratchet and Clank movie, just like high
Yeah.
quality.
Wow. But it has very much of a Star Wars vibe because the villain
Yeah.
is very clearly like a robed guy, kind of like the Emperor. So I was surprised how intrigued I was by it even before Star Fox came on
So
screen.
there were some details that came out later.
Oh, good.
And
Ooh.
so basically Fox is integrated in the story in the Switch version. So you can just play as Star Fox and his crew through the entire game.
Really?
Oh,
Okay. So do you think it's like canonical? Like, does his, with Cornelia and stuff, is that like part of that universe? Or is
Kyle, look at my eyes. 100%.
it, what?
I don't know how
Oh
much
my
that
God.
changes your
Why
brain.
did I put it as number 4?
100%. You can count this as canonical with Grippy Toad and all those other crazy characters
Look into his corneas.
Grippy is the opposite of Slippy.
in so many
Oh my
ways.
So-
gosh.
I just realized.
I'm with you. I love Ubisoft hitting that tone. I feel like that kind of kid-friendly tone
Yeah.
isn't something that outside of like Rayman. But I love seeing the 3D crazy, maybe No Man's Sky-ish take on that. I think
Yeah.
Ubisoft Toronto, like last game they made was last Splinter Cell. Like they're a talented studio. I want to see what they can do with this.
Yeah, and like I said, the toys to life aspect of it, I'm less sort of interested in, but the world that they showed briefly looks fun, and then Star Fox getting it added in there is cool. I like that. That's where Star Fox is going.
Right. And what did you think about the announcement? Because I was watching it, and in like they have the classic Starlink character futzing with the radio.
Yeah, we all
and
know
then
him.
there's a little moment of like,
Yes.
And in my mind, I was like, that's a funny Easter egg. All right, moving on. But then like it cuts to like close-ups of Fox McCloud's clothing. It's like, all right.
I thought it was great, and they
done.
had a lot of the themes, like the musical. Star Fox
Yeah.
has fantastic music, and like they
Sure.
kind of
Best part
filtered
of
that
it.
in. Yeah, and yeah, it was that moment of like, oh, I know that sound effect, but I didn't quite connect
Oh,
to what
really?
it was. So I was
Wait,
like,
what
why
is
is that
that
so
from?
familiar?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
They
fine.
did really well.
Did that make your list because the game looked cool, or is it mostly because of Star Fox?
I think it probably would have been like 6 or 7 on my list. Like I was interested in it, and then Star Fox kind of boosted it up a couple spots.
it is weird that they're doing a Toys of Life thing now. It feels like in 5 years are they going to be doing a battle royale mode? Like just like the studio's like behind the curveball.
They're
like
busy, Reeves.
they're still trying to figure it out.
How dare you?
Sorry, I
Second
forgot to get
wave.
my snark out of the way. Battlefield.
We're also laughing because I don't remember exactly how they worded it, but Miyamoto was there and they brought him on
Yeah.
stage, and they were kind of like, the studio would love to meet you. let's go.
Right.
He's
The
like,
only way they
am I
can get
doing this
Miyamoto
right now?
to do it is like bring it up live on
Yeah,
air. Like, hey, please come around back.
We're going to
People
put you on
want
the
your autograph.
spot right now if you got to meet these guys.
Say no to this proposal live on the big screen, the Jumbotron. I dare
We
ya.
just gave you a present live. Come back here.
We're
We've got
recording
another
them and their
developer.
children, then our hearts will break the second you say no.
Also, one of the smallest little moments from E3 so far that I just loved, and it's so stupid. Call me a big old softy if you want, Imran, because you do all the time.
You're a big old softy.
But no, the moment when Guillemot, the CEO of Ubisoft, like handed that prototype little Starlink model of Star Fox and the R-Wing to Miyamoto, then Miyamoto gets up on stage and he's probably just uncomfortable, but he just like takes it and he's like, vroom, and like flies it towards the sky. It's like no other luminary in the industry would be so childlike and strange in that moment, but it really struck me.
It's really good.
I also like that they had the nice SNL credits moment at the end of the Ubisoft press conference where everyone came on stage and
Yeah.
they were just kind of chatting as the
But this time it's not to beg for their company.
Imran, number 4.
Number 4 would be also from Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
I'm so happy you
Oh,
brought that up because
all right.
as we're talking about Starlink, I was worried that no one was going to bring up Assassin's Creed Odyssey. What'd you think of that?
I thought, okay, so I don't know that I feel comfortable calling it Assassin's Creed anymore because it's a very different game.
Totally.
But like the direction it's going, I'm actually really fine with.
And where are we going?
Into a more RPG action scenario
In
Greece.
Hey, there we go. It's very
made it.
exciting.
In the past too, like specifically
In like
not just Greece, but,
400
like,
BC.
So around the time of Origins, yeah.
Is it? But I think it's
it's like
pre-Origins.
400
even.
years before Origins.
Is it?
even.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah,
weird
no
thing.
no wrist blades, right?
Right.
This is before anybody invented hoods. No one thought of shielding themselves from the sun with a
Yeah.
simple little
I don't
hood.
think eagles had evolved from dinosaurs yet.
No, they were all still fish.
Which is like
Fish dinosaurs.
Wait, I said dinosaurs. You said fish. This is very confusing.
the hood thing actually, like when I see that, it's like this doesn't feel like Assassin's Creed if they don't have some sort of assassin garb. And I guess Ubisoft is going like, no, screw that. We're just gonna go with the, I guess, sort of vaguely Mass Effect-y kind of game it is now.
They're just kind of becoming like historical action games.
Yeah.
Which is
Well,
not
forget
a
that.
bad
They're
thing.
becoming an open world RPG studio where they jump from setting to setting. Like I think I'm not really into Assassin's Creed overall, but I'm super into this one because I love the Greek setting and I just love the idea of a studio as big as Ubisoft pouring hundreds of millions of dollars into these open world RPGs
Right.
that just are not locked in any setting. It's just bam, 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 bam.
They try to make us feel like we're there. That was the good thing about Origins is like the setting.
Yeah.
Like they did a lot of work to make you feel like you were in ancient Egypt, which was really cool. So, and I'm with you, Hanson. Like I'm actually probably more intrigued to go to Greece than I have been for any AC setting since maybe
Totally.
like Florence. I
Yeah.
don't know, like since like the Renaissance maybe.
But isn't it funny that the same year where we're like, ooh, going to Greece in AC, this is cool. We're also like, oh, thank God we're out of Greece in God of War. Just like in that weird flip. It is strange, I think.
We're out
They're
of Greece.
very different
Yeah.
Greases.
Yeah, I understand that. The here's what I worry about: the main character's accent seems like a bit much. Like in that gameplay footage they showed, and there's more of it in an episode of New Gameplay Today because Jeff Cork and Leo Vader actually went to Ubisoft Quebec like over a week ago,
Yeah,
and they
wow.
have an over hour-long gameplay session for New Gameplay Today. It's going to be exhaustive, so check that out if you're interested. But like the voices in that, it made me within 5 seconds realize like, I'm changing this dialogue to Greek, going subtitles, just writing it through because I can't stand that like hammy accent that they had.
I
from
don't
those
think we need
characters.
accents anymore in fiction. You
No
know what I mean?
accents
If
in
it takes
fiction.
place in a different country, they shouldn't
Yeah.
have the accent of that. They should just speak normally.
They're so weird
Oh, by
about it.
normal you mean American?
Yes, I'm
I
sorry.
think
that
they
was
should
what I
have
meant to say.
British accents.
Do you not
actually,
remember when they
still.
did that though with Unity?
Yeah.
They were in France, but all had British accents for some reason.
I actually,
That's right.
You can find an interview actually where I asked them about that, and they're like, it just sounds fancier, you know.
Yeah.
But I watched a movie called The
weird
Death of
thing.
Stalin on the flight over here, which takes place entirely in Russia, and they didn't use accents, and I thought it improved the film dramatically.
Huh.
And so I want to see that for everything. Do it.
The reveal of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I was like, is this supernatural what they're doing with? Because they had what they call the broken spear of Leonidas, right?
Yeah.
Which seemed to be, it had a lot of sparkles on it. And then it ended the same way that last year's Assassin's Creed Origins trailer ended, where it's like a mythical snake last year. And then this time it's like, well, we got a Minotaur. And so it's weird to have that same structure, like the tease at the end of, oh, there might be some mythical stuff happening in this entry.
Ubisoft really likes reusing structures.
Yeah, I guess so.
The one problem with that series is it feels like there's no like overarching like head who knows what they're doing with that franchise. Like it just seems like whatever you want to do, go.
It's all
with
just Yves Guillemot's like whims.
I guess, yeah.
Well, it's Jean Gaston. technically, who is the creative director of Assassin's Creed, but
Gaston.
certainly,
Gaston.
yeah, it feels like it's lacking a central throughput. It kind of feels like
Patrice Désilets kind of figure.
right, or it feels like what Star Wars does now
Right.
compared to like Marvel, where Marvel, it's like we're moving, we're inching along, and Star
Right.
Wars, like here's a scatter shot of stuff you know is cool. It's like, okay, I guess it's fine, but I don't know how those hardcore Assassin's Creed fans, how much they're going to be able to dissect from this. Although, help me out with this because I'm not a big AC guy. So, okay, there's the crazy precursor civilization race, right?
Sure.
Like Minerva and Juno, all that stuff. So those are Roman gods technically. In the games set in Rome, did they acknowledge that weird connection? And then
Oh man.
is there any connection between like the Greek gods and the weird precursor race in Assassin's Creed? I guess is my question.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Great
I
question.
bet
Thank you.
Miller knows.
The game set in
Maybe
Rome
somebody
was
in the comments
Brotherhood?
knows. and
Yeah,
they're
let us
saying,
know.
don't scratch your balls.
Number one tip with podcasting, Reeves: get longer shorts.
Oh, okay.
Don't scratch your
All right.
balls. My number 4. Wait, did we skip you, Imran? Did you go?
No, I just
You
said
did. Assassin's
Talk
Creed.
about
That's right.
Assassin's Creed.
My number 4 is look. I was watching it live, and I was very excited about this announcement. And then in Game Informer's live stream of it, Jeff Quark said, "I bet Ben Hansen's losing his dumb mind up there."
Was he right?
Yeah, I love developers that remix games, especially like after launch. I'm excited for Prey's Typhon Hunter DLC, where you can play. It's basically Prop Hunt. They're putting Prop Hunt into the game later this year, where it's going to be 6 players, and you can be a mimic taking control of any object, and you just have to try and find the other players in the space station. But like that art direction of Prey combined with Prop Hunt's gameplay, that sounds like so much fun. And it's also playable in VR, which I will never do based on lack of interest in VR. But I still love the idea of just adding these silly, fun, absurd modes into the game because that's all anybody wanted. Also, the idea of Prey getting multiplayer so late is just weird.
Yeah.
So this was something Call of Duty experimented with a little bit, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was super
And you-
fun in
you
Call of
love
Duty.
that, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I loved it.
It was
prop
super
hunt
for you.
weird
in.
for Call of Duty. It makes kind of more sense in Prey.
Yeah.
But it's also what I'm impressed with is just I'm super glad Bethesda is willing to take chances, and then when a project seems to not blow up the way they want it to, that they let those studios continue to make the games that they want to make. Like I would have thought they would have just killed Prey because
Yeah.
seemed
And
like,
killed all the developers.
and
that
killed all
worked
the
on it.
developers.
Right.
And it seems like they did actually from that press conference. But yeah, I'm with you. Like
Yeah.
that was a cool announcement, and I'm glad they're still making that.
And beyond that, I mean, they also added, they're adding new modes, story mode, as they call it, New Game Plus, survival mode, and then also this huge expansion called Moon Crash, which is kind of like procedural, more survival-based, survive this weird moon simulation, which, you know, it's cool that it'll have it. I don't know if I'm super stoked about that. I think people were looking forward to some story-based content on the moon. But sure, if you want to run through some moon dungeons, that
Yeah.
seems like a cool way to frame it. It makes sense in that universe, I guess.
I was also watching our live stream of it, and like at the point where they do that announcement, and then the developer gets attacked by the mimic.
Yeah.
Jeff Quirk said something about like, "Oh man, I hope they're still able to continue making that game." And
Because they
it was-
mimed like a mimic attacking the
Yeah.
camera. It was the same idea as the Cyberpunk thing, but just so much less effective.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
we're breaking into the stream.
I mean, yeah, it was totally obvious, but some like Quirk's deadpan delivery of that, I lost it for a good like 2 minutes. Like it's just like, anyway, Quirk's funny, guys.
It's true. All right, Ben Reeves, number 3.
Number 3, my number 3 is Microsoft buys a bunch of studios.
Yes.
Like it feels to me like the last several years is Microsoft has been just like trying to catch up, right? And
Right.
it feels like this year, it feels like they're kind of getting their act together and like playing hardball. I don't know if that's what I mean, but I was excited actually that they're buying some studios and some studios of quality.
Yeah.
And Ninja Theory in particular, I was kind of excited about.
Yeah.
I want that studio to get a good amount of money behind them and make an awesome game.
100%. I think this is one of the craziest things. And I think just in general, I don't know if we're going to another chance to talk about it, but like Microsoft's press conference this year, I think was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, definitely
Like,
the best.
Top tier, definitely the best. But I had that second guessing moment where I was just taking notes, just reveal, just doing everything right, every presentation, every speech, outside of like the fast start speech, which is like some dumb tech thing like I wasn't that into. Everything else, I just feel like they were absolutely nailing it, nailing the tone. Except that then afterwards, I saw former video editor Wade Wojcik tweet out the just damning thing of like, yeah, it was a good press conference, but I don't know if I'm more excited about the Xbox One or like playing games on my Xbox One. And I had that moment too of like, yeah, I rarely boot that thing up. I don't know if I am either. But the key, I think, is I think they're setting up next generation on a super good footing. And by owning all those studios now. So they announced 5 purchases, right?
Right.
Undead Labs, dedicated developers. That seems obvious. Playground Games, Forza Horizon team. Also, I just assumed that they already owned them.
Yeah, I
kind of
was
thought they already
surprised.
owned them too. Yeah,
But they also teased that, hey, they're also working on another open world game,
Right.
which rumors would suggest is a Fable game.
Basically confirming that, yeah.
Yeah,
there were
for
those
sure.
rumors. Yeah,
Get up on the mic there, Amron. And then also Compulsion Games, who's making We Happy Few, which is an interesting purchase. Talented devs there. It's that game, the creative director on that one is the former creative director for Rainbow Six Patriots, David Sears.
Oh, really?
And he's a
I
really
didn't know
smart
that.
guy. He goes way back in the industry, so I look forward to seeing what they do beyond We Happy Few, or maybe We Happy Few will be good. I don't know. But then also Ninja Theory, which is huge. We can talk about in a second. And then the other weird one is Santa Monica Studio, which they're calling The Initiative. Not The Coalition. This
not
is
the
called,
God of War guys.
No, this is called The Initiative, and it's headed by Daryl Gallagher, who used to run Crystal Dynamics, and we interviewed him on that Rise of the Tomb Raider trip. Reeves, you were there.
Oh,
Actually,
yeah.
Kyle, you were there too.
I was there.
Yeah, why would you forget me?
I don't know. Less memorable
You were
overall.
wearing a dumb bear suit most of the time.
That is true.
Yeah,
you
that was
did
weird.
But it's interesting to have this third-person action-adventure specialist, in theory, Daryl Gallagher, heading up a studio in Santa Monica, which, Imran, tell me if this is a stretch, but you start thinking about like the talent around Santa Monica. It's like there's going to be some bleed over of dev talent from God of War. I'm sure Microsoft's just ponying out the cash. Like, is it just safe to assume at this point that's going to be a third-person story-based game?
Well, I mean, so there were some job listings for the initiative, which is when it leaked last month.
Ooh, okay.
So their description of it was working on what they called a quadruple A game, which is a ridiculously expensive game, which is almost certainly going to be a third-person narrative action game.
Wait, are we talking Quad A?
I think he's talking Quad A all day. is what I-
Tell the story of that, Reese.
Well, I heard that from you actually. I wasn't there. Yeah.
Oh God, wait, yeah, I was the only one there. This is on.
You didn't even remember yourself being somewhere?
I know, it's a mess. Blue Moon's a hell of a drug.
It was
visceral
Army of Two?
game.
Army of Two, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a whole chapter in gaming that I don't think anyone really acknowledges other than Game Informer because it was rammed down our throats. For the Army of Two Devil's Cartel cover story trip, we went to EA in Montreal, and they said, this is Visceral Games Montreal. This is a visceral game, 100%. Army of Two Devil's Cartel, we're getting behind it in a huge way. Steve Papustis, the head of Visceral, we Skyped him in, we talked to him, we filmed a video interview with him. I forget if this is in the video, I think it is. But in that, he's like, a lot of people are making AAA games. At Visceral, we make Quad A. We got a phrase around here, it goes, Quad A all day. Okay. All right, Steve Papustis, go back to swinging on
Did that
the
make
hell
it into
band
the
you're in.
cover story?
I don't remember.
I feel like I would have put it in.
Did Army of Two come out?
And then that game came out, and Visceral is not in the credits. They are not acknowledged anywhere.
Oh.
And then that studio was turned over, and then that exact same development space made Mass Effect Andromeda. It's a weird thing up there with EA Montreal. But the point is, Microsoft in Santa Monica job listings.
And they're
Yes.
making Quad A games.
Quad A.
It's super exciting. I mean, that'll be a long burn, like probably 2021 for that game's release, whatever the hell it is, maybe even beyond that.
Yeah.
But just the idea of Microsoft investing and starting to lay some tracks ahead of them.
Yeah.
Reeves' Ninja Theory is crazy.
And Ninja Theory,
Yeah,
which
that's the most exciting for me.
blew
Crazy,
my
yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
That because it seemed like those guys, especially talking to Tamim, the guy who directed Hellblade recently last year, which was a big game for them. Even though it was a cheap game, but like for the studio, like had a lot of passion behind it.
Although in a Vidoc they released today, or maybe it was yesterday actually, they said the budget for Hellblade, what would you guess it was overall, including marketing?
A couple million.
10 million, they said.
Really?
It struck me as higher than I thought, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry. go ahead.
He always kind of pitched it as like kind of something in the middle space of gaming, right? It's not
Yeah.
a totally indie game, but it's not a Quad A game, obviously. Yeah, and so, but anyway, say what you will about that game. I liked it for what it was worth. But I love that
$10
studio
million.
and their pedigree. It would just games like crap, Kyle.
Sorry.
No, you love the pedigree of the
Sword.
studio.
Yeah. And I like that studio and what they do, and I want to see them like continue to do their work. And and get some money behind it.
Yeah.
Right.
I love Ninja Theory. I feel like they've been underrated for years. I feel like they're kind of starting to get their due.
Right.
But I mean, they even as early as Heavenly Sword and Enslaved, they were emphasizing like actor performance within games. Like
Yeah.
I feel like before even Naughty Dog was kind of really pushing that as one of their core sort of elements, and like so I feel like they were ahead of the curve in that sense. And I love those guys. I can't wait to see what they're doing next.
And Phil Spencer specifically cited like master storytellers over there at Ninja Theory. And
He also referenced Kung Fu Chaos.
which was the 2003
Their
game.
first game. Yeah.
Real,
Yep.
by the way, Dan Tack loves that game.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, it's one of those. I asked him. I was like, "Are you being sarcastic?" And he's like, "Nope, I played the hell out of that game."
He's
That's
being
very
Dan
confusing.
Tag.
That's very.
Okay.
Turns out Dan Tack's kind of a confusing
But
guy.
there's a part of me, I love that studio a lot too, Reeves, but going on that cover story trip, there's a part of me when I heard that announcement is like, I'm happy for them that they're all safe in the industry, at least for a couple of years. For the next big project, they're getting the funding, but there's still a part of me where it's like, they were kind of punk rock, and they kind of sold
that
out.
was what they said. Like they were talking about the buyout afterwards.
Yeah.
Saying like we want to get out of the AAA, like having to live contract to contract.
Yeah.
The 2.5A.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
All day.
All day.
Yeah, thank you.
that is to me. Me's kind of has a punk rock style. Punk rock is what I like.
That's
to
what they call it over there. Punk rack.
They're British. Yeah, I kind of see that too.
Yeah.
Talking to him too, he's like, "Oh, I'd love to work on a sequel because I don't know what working on a sequel feels like." And so maybe you'll have that chance now.
I just hope they're not like making avatars or something.
Yeah. So
you
here's
know?
my question:
Yeah.
is do you guys have concerns? Because in the past, Microsoft acquiring studios has not always worked out great. Who was the developer that made Gunstringer?
Twisted
Twisted
Pixel.
Pixel.
Twisted Pixel.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
Look forward to
Microsoft-
them on the Game Informer show coming up later this week. But go ahead, Imran.
Microsoft picked up Twisted Pixel, and then they didn't do anything, and then they just
Yeah.
let them go. And I kind of wonder, like,
I
because
feel-
things
yeah,
have changed
yeah.
now, because Spencer is in a much higher position within the company than Xbox heads have ever been.
Right.
But
Sure. That's what
That
this
was definitely in
feels
the
like.
Matrix era. You know, that was a
Yeah.
different era of
It
Xbox.
was a different era, and like I agree with you on that history. It was definitely there. This feels like, oh yeah, Phil Spencer finally is in a different position in Microsoft now, and he has maybe a little bit more authority than previous heads of Xbox, and so he has the opportunity to leverage some of that for studios, and I think he's laying a groundwork to do something really cool over at Microsoft.
You know, we were
100%.
kind of theorizing, like we're talking, like what will Ninja Theory do? Like,
Yeah.
is there a franchise that they could pick up and kind of like bring back or fix? And we were wondering if they could reset Scalebound. You know, third person
that's so
action.
silly.
You know, like it doesn't really. I mean, they did Devil May Cry.
Taking more
you know?
of that Kamiya jazz and making their own stuff.
I know it
with
would be very
I-
strange, and I'm not.
be
It's not
weird.
what I want. I want them to make something original.
No, I think Microsoft is making this investment for new IP.
Yeah, to get something, I think like Hellblade. You know, I
Yeah.
think they want a Last of Us
Totally.
competitor, and I think that they're the best avenue to do it. Honestly,
And
Even
they're probably
if they
pretty
just
cheap.
keep doing stuff in the middle, like you said, give them another $10 million and see what they do with it.
I'm sure they'll scale up beyond that, but I mean,
At
they
least
said,
11. At least
that's
11.
right. But they said in that little video actually, which is great to watch. They said that they have 100 developers currently. So the size of that team, like they'll get support from Microsoft, and that's great. But I mean, they can't make something massive with that team. So I'd imagine it's gonna be a little bit smaller in scope and story focus, which I want to see. And like you could say, oh, they sell out and all that stuff. But it's like the big message from that cover story trip when we were there visiting the studio for Hellblade was like, we need to get out of this rat race. The only way we can do it is do like licensed projects like Disney Infinity 3 and then just create creative stuff on the side. And so I see this just as another easy way out for them where it's like, well, it's different. You're selling out to the man to some extent, but we can, in theory, make our own vision. And they said that like they went around to
Ninja
different.
Theory.
That's right. They went around to different Microsoft studios, which is cool if this is true. This is how they described it. Is that Microsoft said like, you can do whatever you want. Trust us. You'll have full creative vision. If you don't trust us, like, take a tour. Talk to other Microsoft studios. We won't be there. You know. And they did that.
Take the Kojima tour.
Yeah, and they did it. And they said like, all right, we trust you guys. Like everyone has good relationships with you. It seems like we're not going to get screwed over. Let's go for it. But what I wonder, Reeves, without revealing anything too secret, but like Hellblade was a fraction of that studio when we were there.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. They were working on multiple projects.
They were working on other stuff, and in theory, it was like licensed stuff, project for hire, but like some of it did not look, from what I saw, like it was Microsoft related. And so is it Microsoft going to be loose in like a Minecraft style way and let them release those other projects? Or are all those other projects we saw, which technically I only saw one other project, but is it just dead?
I assume they'd have to like run out their contracts of
Yeah.
whatever it is.
I don't
first,
know.
But
I mean, Compulsion is releasing We Happy Few on multiple systems.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it is then. Because they said they were working on 4 games, Ninja Theory did.
yeah.
Also, it explains, if you're a fan of this podcast, a couple weeks ago, we had Rue from Ready at Dawn on to talk about God of War. That was originally going to be a God of War roundtable discussion amongst developers. And it's like, well, who better than Tamim from Ninja Theory? So I reached out to them. They're like, we don't want to talk about God of War. And now it makes sense why they would want to talk about it because they're owned by Microsoft.
Of course.
It's a fun industry. Great choice, Reeves.
But it would have been like a perfect to have him talk about God of War.
Oh, my God.
Because the
That is the
Hellblade
voice I wanna hear the
parallels right
most.
there is so
crazy.
obvious.
Yeah,
and,
even some
interesting.
interviews that Cory Barlog did, creative director for God of War, he even said that like there must be a mole within our studio feeding ideas to Tamim. He's like, "Damn you, Tamim!" Because they took like they were on the same path in so
Yeah.
many ways. It's wild.
In so many weird ways.
Okay, sorry, Kyle. Number 3.
Number 3, I really enjoyed the Beyond Good and Evil 2 trailer.
Oh.
I really
Yeah.
liked it a lot. And it's not that I don't love the original Beyond Good and Evil. I think it's a fine game. It's not, it's good. But it's not like, I don't love it. I wasn't one of those people that was like demanding a sequel for years. So it wasn't necessarily like the return of Jade or the return of Paige that got me like really excited. I really like. There was that one sequence where the woman was piloting the ship and she like jumped out of it and kind of had like that sort of like Guardians of the Galaxy style like spacesuit
Yeah.
come over her and she like crashed into the. It was really cool action and I just like. I thought it did a better job of kind of establishing like what that world is going to be.
100%.
you
It was a
know?
nice reminder, that trailer, of just, oh yeah, this world is cool. Like there's just so many weird details in it. Just the idea of Paige the cook getting everybody drunk and there's monkeys.
Yeah.
Just, it's a really unique world. And I was hesitant about the expanded scope of this thing, but after that, it's like, yeah, I do want to see just some crazy stuff in here.
I love the shot of the ship, like in the Ring of Saturn or whatever that was, even though that's not what the rings actually look like. But those like cloud thing, like watching it float across that, like
Yeah.
cloud in space, you're like, this is a really cool looking shot.
Like
Yeah.
just like a big ship with like a family on it,
Right.
like an adoptive family, like moving through the space. It just seems cool,
I'm totally with you. What do you think? I was so confused because Paige was in it. And so I was like, oh,
Paige, is that what you said?
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And so like, did they change it? So is this a sequel now? And then Jade comes out and Paige recognizes Jade.
Oh, wait,
and
they-
Jade had like a sword, but they still said it was a prequel.
They
so
said
it's like, I
young
don't
Jade. It was a prequel.
So Paige and Jade knew each other
Knew
at the
each
start
other
of the
even
game? I'm
before.
trying to
Well,
remember.
He took care of her as a girl.
Yeah,
wasn't he?
Paige knew
Okay.
her parents, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that does make sense in the timeline.
Yeah.
To have a badass evil Jade with a ninja
Yeah,
sword.
like Paige
Weird.
saves her. Maybe,
That said,
or
I don't
something.
like the evil Jade thing. Then like I don't see the
Yeah.
connection from that character to Beyond Good and Evil.
Yeah.
And I'm sure this is a game that's supposed to explain that connection. But I kind of feel like the cynical part of me is thinking, after last year's reaction, like people asking like, this isn't really a sequel. Did they just add this stuff in after that?
Yeah, I mean, all that being said, as much as I like the trailer, I would much prefer a sequel over
Yeah.
a prequel generally. But
I mean, it sounded like last year when they showed it, there wasn't a whole lot of game there yet.
Yeah.
And I was worried, like, I don't know how much of the game they could actually make in a year, basically. Right. So I was excited, like, that CG trailer looked awesome, but again, I was like, oh, this is a smoke and mirrors trailer. How much game is there?
It could be, yeah.
And then they showed some gameplay, which was cool. And I was like, oh, okay, it looks like they actually have something, which is, and I like that little world they showed.
And this is why I love E3, because if you're just listening to this podcast and you didn't follow the press conference, you wouldn't believe this next sentence, but do you guys remember the part where Joseph Gordon-Levitt came out on stage and pitched making assets for Beyond Good and Evil
Yeah.
2?
Super weird.
I'm less interested in that aspect of the game. I don't really want other people to make Beyond Good and Evil 2. I would like them.
It's
I would
such
like
a
the
weird
people
thing.
who are working on the game to make it, if that makes sense. I don't want amateurs to contribute to it, but maybe it'll be great. You know, like I want to see where it goes, but I mean, generally speaking, I would rather have just professional game developers make Beyond Good and Evil.
Even
2.
outside the amateur stuff, like this is spec work, and spec work is generally kind of frowned upon.
Right.
Of,
Yeah.
Like people are making this music, but they're making it for the chance to be chosen.
Yeah, but I think Joseph Gordon-Levitt's site, which has been around for years and has produced short films and stuff, that I've watched the first 30 seconds of quite
Hit
a few
record?
of them. Yeah, like they do pay their contributors, right?
They do, but
Okay.
like
it's
I think,
still like a luck of the draw.
Yeah, their overall
Okay.
budget is like 50,000, which
Yeah.
is for the amount of stuff they're gonna get. Like, I can see where both arguments would come from, but
Yeah,
to me,
yeah.
I think Ubisoft, you have composers. Like you make $5 billion
Yeah.
a year.
But man, Joseph Gordon-Levitt was really excited.
He is.
And he's fun.
He's
I
very
like
fun.
him.
And he
a lot.
punched
very
people in
handsome
Inception.
Reeves, please, for the love of God, can you stop basic instincting the camera and just put your legs down? Because people are getting an intimate look at your testicles.
Are they getting it?
Yeah, they're getting it,
All
sir.
right. All right.
And this is what the audio listeners miss out on. But if you could just rub your balls against the mic, I feel like it would really convey the
I'll
same
just
message.
keep scratching.
Jesus Christ.
You get like a blanket or something, maybe. Yeah, Beyond Good and Evil 2.
sounds great.
I really liked that. I know it was pre-rendered, right? I mean, that's obviously,
Yeah.
but it was cool. It was really cool, and I like what they showed more than they showed previously.
100%. Imran Khan, number 3.
Devil May Cry 5. Which is
Interesting.
it was a very open secret for many years. Itano has been
Well,
saying.
I don't know about that. For the common man, including myself,
okay.
I saw a Reset Era thread pop up every 6 months. Like, is it happening? That was about it.
Hideaki Itano has been saying for the last 3 years, I hope this is the year I can show my game. And he makes Dragon's Dogma and Devil May Cry. So
Oh, really?
it wasn't going to be Dragon's Dogma 2.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I did not expect it would look specifically like this. That it's a direct sequel to 4. Nero's the main character.
So that is Nero with the bad
Yes.
hair. Okay.
They showed it, like most of that scene or that trailer is Nero just beating up demons, and like it's kind of a tone trailer.
Riding missiles.
Yeah.
Which was
Which are
cool.
his
gameplay.
arm.
Yeah, so there's a scene earlier where it shows Nero's arm being ripped off, his demon arm.
Yeah.
And it doesn't show who the guy is. So theoretically, maybe Virgil. I don't know. But I love I love the way it looks now, and like it's a darker, kind of honestly a little bit more Bayonetta-like tone.
Yeah.
And which maybe that's coincidence. Maybe there's just Capcom DNA bleeding in, or maybe Itano saw that. It was like, yeah, Bayonetta's cool.
Yeah.
But like the music's different, the tone is different. It looks like the overall dialogue, I don't want to say system, but like the story is going for a darker, more rough patch sort of thing.
Where you
Kyle-
still kick some demon ass.
I thought it was
Yeah.
sillier. I don't know. Maybe I was missing.
I know
something.
it's. I don't want to say serious.
Yeah.
But it is like Devil May Cry 4, even at its darkest, was a very colorful game.
Yeah, it's more post-apocalyptic cityscape.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kyle, you're from the South, right?
Yes.
And did you find that accent from that lady offensive in some way? Like,
No,
was
I liked her accent. I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's fine.
maybe
I
it's
don't
just
know.
me
Yeah.
because
Well,
I've never
yeah.
encountered somebody in real life who has an accent that ridiculous or that. Sorry,
There
thick.
there are people in the South with accents like that.
Maybe there are,
Yeah,
but
I
I
know
just
them.
because I'm so like sheltered.
Did you?
I liked her though. I liked that character. Just
Yeah, the way she's
what
like
little
smoking
we saw of her.
cigarettes. It was weird, like that slow motion shot where she's like grabbing the cigarette. It's like learning a little bit of like the pizza thing from the beginning of DMC.
Did you notice when she was
Yeah.
like explaining to some guy, like, that's his arm, I built that for him?
Yeah.
The guy's dead.
Oh,
She's just
really?
explaining it to
Yeah.
a corpse.
Oh, that's weird.
It seems fun.
Hanson, is your beer spelling?
No, it's not important. Is also Itsuno got on stage and it was nice to get like you could tell it was a big relief from him of like DMC is back, everybody. And then he said it's the best game he's ever made. Ellipses, because we're making it for the fans.
Did you notice he threw the Ninja Theory DMC under the bus, kind of?
Did he? What did he say?
He said, we're finally making a real DMC game or something like that.
That's a
Really?
Oh, man.
F that. I
Wow.
love that game. I know
That's-
fans don't
I'm
like
sure
it. but-
people like-
That's my favorite Devil May Cry.
Same here.
By
Yeah.
a big margin.
I think to the people who are going to be excited about Devil May Cry 5,
Yeah.
you kind of have to say we're making the DMC that we're like
Sure.
that from our lineage.
One that's not as good as the last one.
Right.
I really love Ninja Theory's Devil May Cry, but
Hey,
this is cool.
Imran-
I'm excited for this one.
Imran,
Yeah.
you should rank the Devil May Cry's right
Do
now.
it. Do it.
3, 4, 1, 2, or yeah, 3, 4, 1, 2.
Wait, where's
Do you want to
DMC?
include DMC?
Where's DMC?
Yeah.
I would include it after 4.
3,
Wait,
4,
Or DMC, 1,
DMC,
2.
1, 2.
Yeah.
So it's in the middle.
4, DMC 1, 2,
3,
4,
4,
DMC 1, 2, 3, 4.
DMC 1.
Well done.
All
Good
right.
job. Good one. Reeves, I had the exact same thing as mine, like Microsoft Racing for the Future
really?
as my number 3, but I think there's a different spin to take here too, because it's also interesting that Phil Spencer got out there and he's like, hey, we're harvesting's the right word, all of Microsoft, harnessing some people would say, and we're going to really push all our effort with cloud streaming, AI, and we're bracing for, like, the R&D team is making the next generation of consoles.
He said console
Plural.
specifically.
He said plural. And then
It really
Said
leaned
the
into that
word
as
plural.
consoles.
it's true. Imran, and then you posted a news story which said what?
The next console or consoles is codenamed Scarlet.
Scarlet, everybody. It's a good name. But here we are,
Pretty good
E3
name.
2018. It's like we're headlong into new console talk. It's crazy. I didn't expect it.
It feels fast.
Do you want me to throw out something crazy?
Hang on, let me write it down. Yes.
Get on the
If
mic
you-
to throw it out.
If
Yeah,
you're
really
going
on that
to talk all this stuff about cloud gaming, obviously we're probably looking at streaming there and
Yeah.
saying consoles. What if you have more than one device that connects to the same thing?
I think 100% that's what it is. Tell me if you're thinking the same thing I am, but I'll put money down right now that what he meant by consoles is there's going to be basically the equivalent like the Xbox One X, whatever it is, like the Xbox One hardware. You can put it on your TV, call it good if you want to actually download these games, and then the thing's just going to be a little Steam plugger thing into the back of your TV and just stream games right to that. And it's like, hey, lower quality, but we can probably sell you that thing for $50. Here you go, everybody.
$50. You heard it here first, folks.
I'll say that.
I don't know if they would be that cheap. I'd be
Really?
surprised. I'd be surprised.
How much is a little Steam Link? That thing's they're
those
very
are
cheap.
69
but-
or 79? Is that? Am I? Do you guys?
Well,
do you
you're
know?
always just thinking about
There's no way of
69.
knowing.
They're
There's no
always
way of
on
knowing.
sale. like,
Imran, is
super
that the
cheap.
way you're thinking too?
I'm thinking like that. I could. So back when before the Switch was ever revealed, there were like talk about Nintendo wanting to do multiple devices that connect to the same like ecosystem.
Right.
Sure.
So the idea I think Xbox should go for is multiple device. Like what if there was just a handheld that also streamed cloud stuff?
Yeah, because they did. Did they mention phones or those EA that mentioned phones?
EA mentioned phones, but
Okay.
honestly, I think they're all going to the same thing. And
Yeah.
Yves Guillemot said the same thing to Variety a couple of days ago.
It is weird how you start like Guillemot got out of the gate talking about it. It's like cloud stuff, like online. It's like it's been years since we cared about Gaikai, any of that stuff. It's
Yeah.
like why is he thinking about that? Then EA gets out with the first press conference, like, oh, they're talking about cloud tech for the future too. Microsoft is like, we're back in it, boys. Like this is the next generation.
I think
was there
no
like
one-
a secret like breakthrough in streaming technology that we didn't know about?
I don't know. I don't know.
But, like,
Sorry to cut you off, Imran. What were you saying?
I was just thinking like nobody wants to ship a big box that has a GPU in it anymore.
Yeah.
because it's expensive and it's like there are failure rates and there's all sorts of problems when we could just so
The
easily
failure rates of streaming is much lower.
hopefully like that's the main thing. It's that's gonna have to be fixed, and like broadband penetration is gonna have to be fixed. It's not good here. Like in America, we have download caps that would ruin any streaming service.
Well, that's why they have consoles. That's why they're
Yeah.
in theory going to be releasing two, right? So it's like, hey, if you want to have this, put a disc in. We're not going to interrupt you. But if you want the super cheap option, you can afford it, or you can afford it with your bandwidth. Like, let's go for it. I think
And,
it's
like,
smart.
And like discs themselves are kind of useless these days. Like
Sure.
any disc
Shove 'em
you
up your
buy
butt.
is going to get like a let's say 10 to 20 gig download.
Right.
And why not just start streaming some stuff? Why not start streaming or the cutscenes from the cloud while you're playing a game
Yeah.
instead of putting it on the disc?
Quantum Break.
Yeah,
The future is scary, you
It would be
guys.
nice.
It's here. Scarlet, next generation talk.
it's
We're
like 3
here,
years
man.
from now, but it's here.
Man, I'm always impressed with how quickly Netflix videos start up. If you could do that with a game,
Yeah.
like that'd be great.
Like faster start.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's so that
F
whole speech.
Yeah.
Like okay, so Wii U had a very similar thing of like
Yeah.
you just press a thing and like it goes straight to the game.
Right.
When Nintendo announced that, they said we can make Wii U games faster. When Microsoft announced it, they're like the machine is learning while you slept. It's learned how to launch games faster.
Uh-huh.
And it's like the difference in tone is so hilarious that Microsoft really wants people to think that the Xbox is genuinely one of the most intelligent devices in the world.
CPU learning computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, like, just say it launches games fast. Like,
Right.
it's fine.
It's fine.
People will be happy.
Yeah, it's true. Reeves, are we at number 2 already, folks?
I think we are at number 2.
Speaking of which, I need to go take a number 1, but still say your number 2. I'll
Okay.
jump in later.
Well, my number 2 is a number 2. Resident Evil 2, that is.
That's exciting. Yeah, that's
yeah.
cool.
So, glad Hanson's gone for this.
Yeah.
But yeah, Resident Evil 2, I'm a big fan of the original Resident Evil 2 and just Resident Evil in general. And Resident Evil 2 is maybe one of my favorites. I know a lot of people point to 4. Resident Evil 2 is probably my first love from that series. So it's the
It
one
was
I
my
really-
introduction to the series too, actually.
Yeah.
I think I
And-
played 1 before that, but I think 2 was the first I bought and, like, played like hell for myself.
And it just felt like a revolution back then. And then couple that with the fact that like the Resident Evil remake that came out on GameCube is like one of my other favorites from the series, and it just felt like so dark and like I don't know, the perfect distillation of that original formula for Resident Evil. And so for years I was like, since that Resident Evil remake on GameCube, I was like, they need to do that again, but they should do that with the original game, because the original game is like on PlayStation is like one of the like worst looking. I mean, it's aged quite a bit, right? That PlayStation
Pre-rendered
formula.
backgrounds don't age super well.
And so you like that jump from that to GameCube was amazing. So like, oh, think of the jump they could do if they started with 2 and went to like modern consoles. So I mean, since then they've released Resident Evil 7, which is kind of a new direction for the series, and I liked that game. It's not exactly that old formula, so I'm kind of curious to know where they go with this one. And it seems like from the announcement that there's a moment where there's kind of like you're behind the camera, behind the dude.
It looks more modern.
It seems like it may be over the shoulder
gameplay, kind of, right?
Which is good. Like I'm actually, I don't want them to futz with the layout of the police station. But like moving the camera, I don't really need that isometric camera. I don't insist on that. I like the idea of being able to see that police station from a new perspective with better graphics.
Some of the design relied on the camera kind of like locking to certain perspectives. Like there are rooms you enter that zombies come from either side, and you're meant to just not see that. So that's going to be entirely different with the new camera. But I mean, I trust them to figure that out.
Yeah, I think they can too.
Well, one of the things I know you in particular love about the Resident Evil remake was that it did play with your expectations of like, oh, if I go into this room, I know there's going to be a zombie there. But in the remake, they're like, no, that dude's actually behind you. Gotcha. Like that would be the opportunity to do that. You know, like you have a new perspective on how the action is moving, so they can put zombies in different places. And for the people that really love 2, who have it memorized to like a T, like they're the ones that'll be surprised by like new placements and everything.
Did you see anything off in that trailer? Like, it's cool they show the starting area and stuff like that, but did you see any locations where it's like, I don't remember that one? Anything like that?
I'd have to go back. I haven't had time to watch it more than once. I'd have to go back. But it did look like, you kind of saw the burned out street. They showed sections of the police station. I didn't see anything that was like, oh, that looks like a totally brand new area.
Yeah. What did you think about Leon S. Kennedy looking like GameSpot's Mike Mahardy a little bit too much? He's
Congrats,
a pretty boy
Mike.
now.
Congrats.
Yeah,
Mike's great.
Mike's a big fan, so that's got to be great
Resident
for him.
Evil really brought him up to the next level there.
He does look younger than I remember him even looking back.
First day on the job.
That's right. But
I mean, that's
don't know.
that's a
He's
Capcom
fine.
Resident Evil tradition. Change faces every couple of games.
Clara looks way different to me. I don't know. Like
Claire
less,
looks way different.
more so than Leon does,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
What's weird is like there was some like high end CG like what's it, Code Veronica? Like Claire was in that. It's just weird how they like changed the look of characters.
So let me throw this conspiracy theory out there.
Love it.
That there was a leak a couple of days before E3 that Resident Evil 2 remake is going to be at the show, and that leak said that a lot of the old Capcom staff for the game, that even though they're at different companies now, they have been brought in for consultation on the game.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, Kamiya.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've noticed in the last, let's say, 6 months, Kamiya has stopped being as aggressive about Capcom. And there are times on his Instagram he'll just tweet the Capcom headquarters.
You're right. He totally does that.
Okay, that's
And
weird.
just for reference, this is the original director for Resident Evil 2 who went on and now is with Platinum, all that stuff. But so he's bringing in to be consulted. He's such an opinionated dude just from Twitter alone. Like, that's the type of thing where it's kind of like having David Jaffe consult for God of War, where it's like, just consult, but not too much.
But I think Kamiya would not allow a Resident Evil 2 that doesn't fit the idea he had in mind when he made that game.
And was it his idea to always open the first trailer for that game as a mouse, from a mouse's point of view, getting crushed by a crate?
that was the weirdest way to open that.
It's
'cause I was like,
surprising.
yeah.
Yes.
Because
you like
people were like,
Ratatouille?
oh, is this Resident Evil?
Yeah, I really thought it was a Ratatouille game at first. So
We-
that was
we-
a little bit of a bummer that it was a different R game, but
We did get a comment on the story that we posted that was like, I kind of wish it was that VR mouse game that we thought it was.
No.
It could be fun.
Moss.
We've already had 2
Moss, too.
VR mice game this year alone.
I mean, Moss is fine.
They have the tough road ahead of them, I think, just to like compete with like people's nostalgia for Resident Evil 2, because they have to update it, because that old gameplay is not going to live up today, like 20 years later.
right.
So
But it's also not that long a road because that game comes out in 6 months.
yeah, so that was exciting too. Is that they announced the release date and it's like in January of next year. So that was cool.
Yeah, January's the Capcom month. I think.
Oh,
Well,
that's
after
when they
Monster Hunter
released-
World,
That's a Monster Hunter, Resident Evil.
Resident Evil 7
yeah.
released in that month, like
right? And Monster Hunter World, I mean, it just
2 years ago.
did gangbusters. And like, if you start to think about why, it's like there's just nothing else going on in that window. I think it's a super smart month for them. Exciting times. Kyle Hilliard, your number 2.
I don't want that
Here,
one.
you can have it.
Death Stranding. Which
Kyle,
we just
I
watched
love
recently.
you.
Yeah, I love every Death Stranding thing that has happened. I just laser focus on all
All
those trailers.
right.
What's wrong? You okay?
Like every little tweet, every weird little
Yeah.
cryptic tease.
Like people seem to be getting frustrated. Like people get frustrated by how confusing those early trailers are,
Yeah.
and this one is equally confusing. But I just really love just how it like I can theorize like crazy about it, and this one definitely had some gameplay in it that showed him like it looked like he was like
Boy.
delivering packages kind of, and like this like risk reward of like maybe you bring a bigger package, like you know.
Kyle, come on, you little
Look,
cheeky
man,
bastard.
this is how it works. But
but okay, so
I have more to say.
All right,
no,
go
it's
ahead.
fine. No, you can go ahead. I'll circle back.
I wanted to focus on the delivery thing because that is
Yeah.
like the most tangible thing. And contrary to what we wanted from this podcast so desperately, no UI for Death Stranding. But they did technically
You really
show,
wanted UI?
We were joking about on the podcast. I think you're on that episode. We were super excited about UI for Death Stranding.
Oh yeah, actually
Yeah.
I do remember that now.
No,
yeah.
but
just to confirm that it's gameplay, right?
Didn't
Yeah,
happen.
yeah, yeah.
And so they set up some lore in the beginning. Here's the dialogue, if you will indulge me, right?
Yes.
So the lady from Mission Impossible 5, she says, "You have dooms like me. What's your level?" And he says, "I've got the extinction factor." And then they talk about like, "Oh, I'm just at the point where I know their presence of like these weird beings, but I can't see them." But it seems like she can see the weird handprint monsters. So
Yeah.
there's some sort of doom virus, the time fall, if they touch you, you age super fast, all that stuff.
Unless you eat mealworms.
Right, you got to suck on those grubs, whatever the hell's going on, Hakuna Matata.
Grub sucking.
But the weird thing then is she's like, "Do you want to join me?" Which seems like she's more of a fighter. And he's like, "No, I'm a delivery boy." And then it's just like a bunch, like the only gameplay shots are him just roaming around this beautiful landscape where it's like, is this the Death Stranding gameplay? Just roaming the countryside? Because that is a lot of environmental work, a lot
Yeah.
on the art team. Like,
Yeah.
for this new studio, just to create enough of a landscape for you to journey and be interesting, that's a tall order.
Just like the
Yeah.
scenes from Lord of the Rings where they're walking through
it really
fields.
is.
Like, what is
Yeah.
this?
And I mean, I think the thing that quickly got me excited is like I was getting a little bit of a Breath of the Wild vibe, like watching him just climb and like move around. And he was like looking over a cliff.
Yeah.
What, Hanson? What's wrong? Are you okay?
What am I doing now?
People
Is
are
this-
being impregnated by Ben Reeves' shorts.
How is this? How can they see?
Reeves, your wiener is out of your
Do they have
mind.
Superman vision?
Just lower the quality of the stream.
You're right.
But yeah, so a lot of climbing and like big landscapes and stuff
Hold
like
on.
that.
It looks
Zelda.
very Metal Gear.
There we go. There, thank you, Cyril. And he was like walking up to a ledge, and I was like, I swear to God, if he jumps off the ledge and starts like floating down, like I'm done. Like this is the game I need.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you.
Beautiful.
Did you think, Imran? I think you said like you're like, oh, those are the Metal Gear Solid 5 animations.
Yeah, the
Oh, yeah?
clambering animation
really?
for.
That's
It
fine.
looks similar, but you know,
I mean,
yeah.
it probably just like this is what I think
The game
clambering
has
looks
great
like.
animation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still like I love how little I know in a weird way. Like I don't know what those creatures are. I don't know what that baby is. We saw its butt, which is that's
It's
good.
my baby.
Yeah.
We need-
I
is
think
that-
that's very
Yeah.
fun.
It's some kind of overlap between what's happening here and the stream.
Yeah, all I know for sure is I did not like that scene when he ripped off that toenail. God, that's
Oh
brutal.
yeah,
But he's
you
doing so much
literally
walking.
put up your hand to
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy, you've got a little robot behind you that's floating around. Sit on that thing and float to your destination. Don't just grind your feet into the ground. But
Yeah.
I love this idea of like long haul trucker, but he only walks. And also there's crazy death demons that are facilitating
Yeah.
the destruction of the entire universe around you.
And they
Like,
did-
that's a good game.
They
right
did
there.
offer a little bit of that, which I think we've been hinted at recently, of like, if you die, sure, you'll come back, but you're going to leave a crater behind.
Oh.
Still not totally clear on what that means, but like, the one
How
thing
symbolic of Kojima and Konami.
Yeah. The one thing I don't really want from this game is like a lot of online implementation, which is like what some
Right.
rumors are pointing
That's
towards.
what
and like,
Mads Mikkelsen has been saying the entire
Yeah.
time.
Wait, he said that?
Wait, how does he know?
He's in the
He's in the game.
Well, I know he's in the game, but
He's
what would
the
an
baby's
actor
butt.
know
Kojima
about-
has been explaining the game to him apparently multiple times.
Yeah.
And he doesn't get it yet, but he knows that it has a lot to do with global cooperation.
Okay.
Yeah, see, I'm not in love with that
Interesting.
part of it. I want a weird ass single player story from Kojima. I hope I can get that from this
It
game.
looks like you'll get that from that trailer.
Yeah,
man.
like, but I think they were hinting at, like, with those conversations with the woman, like,
Yeah.
you know, maybe classes and teaming up with other people and stuff like that.
Right.
So
Do you think
yeah,
the game's just a walking simulator?
Literally.
Yeah.
That's what that trailer implied, didn't it?
It was pretty crazy.
I bet it won't be, but
Just a lot of
it's
walking.
interesting. I wonder if just walking is the cheapest thing they can show. And we expect so much from Death Stranding. That game did not start development that long ago. They chose their engine like 2 years ago, year and a half
him
ago.
and Cerny went on like a world tour of engines.
Right. Party time. I can't believe they filmed it, made a Road Rules series. But people expect so much. So maybe it's just the walking is the only thing they have concretely down right now. So that's what they want to show.
I'm intrigued by that at a base level, like
Yeah.
just moving around that cool looking environment, and it looks creepy. Like it looks really creepy,
Those hands are so cool.
The hands
Yeah.
look really good.
and like the floating people in the sky.
The weird Psycho Mantis guys, totally. I'm 100% with you.
Yes.
The only downside, outside of the toenail ripping, her umbrella's got to go. That stupid, weird shaped umbrella. What is that? You know they're going to try and sell that.
Well, I don't know. They have the weird,
The blinky thing I'm on board for.
Look at me. Like maybe the umbrella is just a conversion of those shields to like it's like a multi-tool.
Okay, I'll
So it's
accept
cool
that.
now.
But if that's just a straight up umbrella in the Death Stranding universe,
I don't understand why you're upset by an umbrella. That seems
it
very
looks.
stupid.
Did you see that umbrella?
Yeah, it looks
It's-
like the umbrella of the future.
No. Umbrella of the future will look exactly like an umbrella of today. That looked like some garbage. Some weird shapes and squares overlapping on
Man,
themselves.
next time you ask me for an umbrella in the rain, which happens often.
I know.
Ella.
That's true.
Okay.
Okay,
I hope
Imran.
that-
I'm glad you didn't get
Sony.
closer on the mic for that one,
I
Imran.
hope that Sony eventually gives them money to hire some voice acting talent for this game. Somebody can finally get rid of these temp actors.
Well, they made a big deal out of the reveal at the end, and I gotta say that Lindsay Wagner,
Yeah.
Cyril,
I think I
Cyril
recognize
in the
her.
booth. It's the Bionic Woman from the '70s. Is that why it was a big deal? Because they de-aged her. Yeah. Cyril says yes.
Cyril, he has
Cyril
a lot of
says
confidence
yes.
in that. Yes.
Right. And actually, he has that umbrella as well.
And who
It's
was
very
the
confusing.
who was the other actress? Because she's familiar too.
She's from Mission Impossible 5. Is what I know her
Okay.
from. Right. Yeah.
And by the way,
okay.
every time they showed like gameplay, it was Norman Reedus. That's his
Yeah.
name, right?
Yep.
Okay, I wasn't because I think he was wearing different clothing occasionally, right? Sometimes the colors.
Sometimes
are changing.
people do that. They'll change their clothing.
Not in video games, they don't.
I mean, also Kojima is not above lying in a trailer.
Yeah,
That's
that's
true.
true. Maybe Norman dies in the first 5 minutes.
That's true.
But yeah, so excited for Death Stranding. I'm not totally clear on what it is, and that makes it all the more exciting.
Still, I'm happy with the amount they showed.
Yes.
Ariz, you want to throw that towel out of the way? Just for the sake of YouTube pullout, so people aren't confused. Just literally throw it to the side. Throw it to the side.
Do you want
What
people
do
to
you
see
want
my
from
junk?
I
me?
What
want
do you
Reese
want?
to throw it to the side and stop revealing so much skin. Okay, Imran Khan, number 2. What do you got, man?
The towel just makes it look
I don't
creepier.
want to.
Just throw it away.
What do you
You're
want?
good. You're good. There you go.
All right.
I'm gonna go with Shadows Die Twice.
Can you remember the first word in that name?
I want to say it's either Sekiro or Sekiro.
I think it's Sekiro.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, what is this?
We were trying to look that up, and we couldn't figure out if it's an actual word.
Yeah, I have no
Japanese
idea.
Word of any kind.
Tell us in the chat if it's an actual Japanese
Yeah,
word.
please do.
It is, however, FromSoft's new game.
Yeah.
It is directed by the director of Dark Souls 1, co-director of Dark Souls 3, and Bloodborne.
Miyazaki.
Yeah,
Say the name.
Hidetaka Miyazaki. It looks a lot like a blending of the Bloodborne Souls formula with the stealth Tenchu sort of thing.
Yeah.
And most surprisingly, published by Activision.
Isn't that
That's
wild?
weird. Yeah.
It is-
That's the weirdest part.
It is very strange.
Yeah, it's smart of Activision to try and get another game in their staple. It's going to be big.
And it sounds like Activision just letting them do whatever they want. There's no real demands on this game.
Yeah.
So they're making an ancient Japanese, or not ancient Japanese, but like samurai era Japanese game, but like with monsters and
Yeah.
So
Is it a Souls game?
I don't think so.
Okay.
So people won't consider it like the way they consider Bloodborne
Yeah.
essentially a Souls game. You
I mean,
think
that's
this is
the
gonna be
genre
enough-
I mean,
umbrella, right? Souls, the Souls game.
That genre is still needing like feeling out and definition, but
Yeah.
it depends on what you define as a Souls game. If it's big guy swings
From
at you
Software
twice,
developed it.
It's going to be that style of action, I bet.
yeah.
But it seems like there's a little bit
Methodical.
to it with there's a grappling hook, which looks kind of cool. I think
Yeah.
it looks cool. Looks like there's possibly some stealth in it.
Yeah, the interesting thing is the idea of Activision funding from software, saying, hey, here's some money, make what you want to make. Not completely unlike, I guess, Destiny and Bungie's situation over there. But it's interesting to think of Miyazaki, who's also the vice president of all of From Software, or the president?
President.
Okay. President. Like, this guy's running the show. They give him a dump truck full of money. They say, what do you want to make? And he says, something that's not exactly a Souls game, which I think is telling and really interesting. He wants to branch out. He wants to make this game that might be more narrative-based, not as classic Souls as you'd expect. Combined with, they're also making a remaster of Metal Wolf Chaos, their old weird game starring the President of the United States that Devolver revealed. Also a PSVR game along with Sony.
Which looks a lot more artsy.
It's just artsy-fartsy fairy tale town. It's interesting that Miyazaki, when they give him
I heard
the
that was
money,
the original title for the
right.
game,
But
actually.
when they give him all the money in the world, he's like, no more Souls, please.
I don't think they want to be defined by that one
Great.
gameplay style.
Smart, yeah.
It is their most popular thing, though.
It is by far their most popular thing, which is why they didn't stop for so long. But I think now they're going like, okay, we can still do this. We can still satiate that group, but let's spread our wings a little bit.
And fly.
Yeah. And like, I had heard that this game has been talked about for a while, but supposedly it's going to be not as open world as Souls games. It's going to be a little bit more level, and it'll play with the structure of what levels and bosses mean and that sort of thing. So I'm excited to see it. And I want to know what their weird narrative is, because like they're very great at world building. So what do you do when you take like a very
Did you wince when he said they're good at world building?
I nodded my head aggressively.
But yeah, they're great at world building, despite what Ben thinks.
Uh-huh.
But
Ben Hansen.
He doesn't read the item descriptions.
Yeah, exactly.
But what are they going to do with a world that has so much existing mythology around it? What is the narrative they tell there? So I'm extremely curious about it, and also I really want to play it because it looks super fun.
Yeah, I'm with you. And the name one more time.
Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice.
We got a video up where we dissect that trailer.
Yeah, get Dan Tack. Big
Dan
pop
Tack.
right in there. Yeah.
Derek Swinehart?
You tell me, Captain
Sorry,
of the
Derek.
Interns.
Yeah, one of our
Swinehart.
interns.
It's Swinehart. Yeah,
He's
he
a
did a
sweet
great
guy.
job. Everyone did a great
Swinehart
job. My number two.
Am I doing a great job?
Kyle, I think... no, honestly, Kyle, I think you... In the scale
I
of
wasn't
Game Informer...
fishy.
No, I really believe that in the scale of Game Informer, people that give an S, you're top tier. Top tier giving an S.
Got so
And,
many S's to give.
like, if Andy in the Slack channel says, hey, someone's got to get this story up, I woke up the next morning and looked at... Who posted that story at 1 a.m.? That was Kyle Hilliard.
Yep.
I was
right.
fishing.
Big old king of the pushovers.
That's not good.
Anyways, my number two is Death Stranding. Ben Reeves, what's your number one, man? Here we go.
Oh, is that really what? My number one was... Did I forget what it was? Oh, yeah. It was... it was the most... It left such an impression on me. Spider-Man.
Holy cow!
Which I
Spider-Man.
did not think would make the top of my list. I don't know
Really?
why. But
You're a
yeah,
huge Spider nut.
But I'm a huge Spider-Man guy. I'm a Spider nut, if you will. But I also kind of wanted to like stay away from the trailer because I kind of want to go dark at this point on the game.
Yeah.
But I couldn't help but watch it, and I was surprised. I was like, they're not going to end the press conference with Spider-Man, even though that game looks cool. Like you would think they'd end it with like something like Last of Us that has, in my mind, I thought like a bigger following, but like
Right.
I don't know why I thought that, because now I think about it, like Spider-Man's one of the largest characters in the world, and that game looks freaking cool. Like
It's a really
the
good
action
showing.
looks really good. The way they showed it, like they showed off a bunch of villains, which was the right thing to do, I think, at this point. It looks really good.
I'm sorry. It's just I glanced at the chat.
And
I'm
that's
sorry
all
for the
they
audio
can-
listeners, but this is the beauty of having the chat is everyone is commenting on the fact that you guys have a spider nut as your nuts have been showing the entire stream.
Did they see my spider nut?
They know you're a spider
Oh
nut.
crap!
That's fine.
Web ball.
Reeves,
yeah,
I'm
that
totally
trailer
with you.
looked
That trailer, I think they did a really good job. I think it's a really smart setting of just out of the gate. Like, here we go. We're at Raft Prison.
Mm-hmm.
It's Arkham Asylum for Marvel. All these crazy Spider-Man villains are coming out. But it really made me laugh, like, as Spider-Man through that trailer made it clear who he was talking to for people who are like, I like Spider-Man, I guess, but I don't know all the freaks, right? But Spider-Man's like, whoa, Electro, what are you doing here? Right? And then it goes on like, Rhino, say hi. Scorpion's over here. You're Vulture. Like he literally says the name of every character just so everyone's in
Yeah.
the know, which is nice.
Yeah.
But what I want to know from that trailer, especially by the end where it's like all those villains are ganging up on him, including Mr. Negative. Like, where is this taking place in the game? Do you think this is like the end of the first act, and he's going to be then beaten down and then has to
That's
rebuild
pretty
from
early,
that?
I think.
Do you think so?
If I had to guess, yeah, it'd be early.
We know the beginning of the game is Kingpin getting arrested and Kingpin threatening, saying like, "This city's going to go to hell without me, controlling the underworld." And I wonder if that's a product of, if that's like the first levy that breaks once the Kingpin gets arrested, is the prison goes to shambles. And
Did you notice that like Spider-Man made specific, or he made note that there were 5 of his biggest villains, and then Mr. Negative shows up. So they're establishing a Sinister Six pretty much at the beginning of the game.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Of course.
But then there's a mysterious 7th character.
So at the end of the trailer,
a
yeah, he's like,
Mysterio
"Oh,
is-
wait, you," and he's kind of glowing, like whatever. It's from kind of like a. You see Spider-Man, and something's having a glowing effect on him, and he seems surprised, saying, "Wait, you." So Reeves, as a resident Spider Nuts, who would you think that is?
As a spider sack.
I mean, my first guess would be like. My first guess, if I had to really like bust out a guess, would be like the biggest like villain that they didn't show there was the Green Goblin, which you would be like, yeah, he's kind of like one of the leaders.
But did you get a villain sense? I got it as an ally sense of Spider-Man's reaction.
It's Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben.
The ghost of Ben.
Hobgoblin's floating thing.
He just comes in and says, "Great power, great responsibility," then just leaves.
Great
done
trailer.
You thought it was an ally?
I thought it was. Did you guys get that sense? This
I
is
did.
interesting.
It was
Yeah.
like bathed in golden light.
Right.
Like you're here to, you're here to say.
yeah, he
you're
wasn't
gonna
like,
save me?
"Oh, bother."
Here's my guess.
Okay.
Madam Web, she takes him back in time. To when he's
No,
not being
don't
beaten up.
do that, Insomniac.
I don't-
no
I
time.
I don't think time travel.
I don't think that's
No.
it. It could be Miles Morales.
But
as
would he
Could
Spider-Man.
be
glowing?
There could be interdimensional stuff with Miles there, but
Is it too easy just to say it's going to be Harry? Like coming by and
Oh,
saying
Harry
hello?
is the Green Goblin?
Yeah. Or just like as his friend. like to
Harry-
rescue him on a little jetpack.
Harry's
thingy?
out of town in the game.
Did you call him?
Well, you like in the game, you're finding these like science stations that he's set up, and he's leaving messages for Spider-Man.
And you know this because you're on the cover story trip.
I was on the cover story trip. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's honestly the reason that's not higher on my list is because I've
Yeah.
seen a lot of that game.
Right.
And it looks awesome, and I can't wait
sure.
to play it. But I don't think it'd be Harry unless they're just like it's just a total surprise. Like it seems like a major part of the side quest structure of that game is the fact that Harry is not present.
Interesting.
Yeah, but that I don't know. I could be wrong.
Yeah, that's true. You certainly could be wrong.
It's happened before.
Yeah, I was confused. I think it looked good. I think it looked really good. I was confused by the end of like, what is this? Is it just a cutscene at
it's
this point?
Spider-Man.
No, I know, but is it just a cutscene where all those villains are like beating the crap out of him? Like, there's no gameplay there at that point.
I don't think so.
And then by
hope
the end of the
there's-
game, you'll just take out all those guys.
Yeah, I assume like then the rest of the game is you like having to go clean up the city and get
Right.
those guys back.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess so. Also, Kyle, what I wanted to tie this in with is on the cover story trip. Remember you guys saying that like he changes suits early in the game?
Yeah.
Does this line up with what you know about the suit swap?
We don't know much about that. I know the very start of the game, you have the classic suit, the very first
Not
mission.
the one that we saw in this trailer.
That's right.
Yeah,
Well,
not
he had the white spider,
not the suit
right?
with the white spider.
Yeah, he did
Yeah.
have the white spider in this one. That's what I was trying to figure out.
So,
And there's a story reason behind that they still haven't revealed.
yes, that is
Interesting.
accurate. So, but I still think that's early in the game, Like, I think you get that new spider suit pretty early in the game. So I still think that this could be early in the game.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it looked great. Everyone's super excited about it.
Yeah.
They showed more gameplay in the open world. That's going to be the demo here at E3, so
Right.
very exciting times.
And I'm excited because it's only a few months away at this point.
September.
Yeah.
Crazy. Kyle Hilliard, if you didn't forget, what is your number one?
My number one is maybe surprising. I don't know. It's Control. Remedy's
Oh.
game.
Yeah.
Number one!
Number one.
Your number one?
My number one game.
This
yeah.
is the creators of Quantum Break.
Yeah, because I really love Remedy. I actually was playing Alan Wake randomly last week, and I adore that game.
What do you think about the
Everything-
ending of Quantum Break?
They've ever made.
I think it happens. I have not beaten Quantum Break. I did not finish the final mission, but I really like Remedy a lot. I think the thing that got me part of the reason it's number one on my list is because it was a surprise. I think they had announced the name. Is that right? But it was a total surprise. Like we were watching, we were like, "Oh, is this Remedy's new game? Oh yeah, it is
Yeah.
Remedy's new game," and it just looks cool. Like even if it wasn't Remedy, I would still be super intrigued.
You're
by
in a
that game.
skyscraper. Things were shifting around. The part that got me is like the environment's shifting around. It's like, oh, it's a little bit Inception. Just things weird,
Yeah.
convoluted, turning into themselves. But then also like even like the main character's gun, it was like blocks that were like
yeah.
also shifting. Which it's so stupid. But this is why I love E3 because like those little details. Like I've never seen a gun itself shift that way.
Yeah.
Like that's cool. That's new.
I also like when it comes to Remedy, like they're really good at just like base gunplay. Like Max Payne had the awesome mechanic of bullet time, and then I really love Alan Wake's mechanic of like sort of like
Hitting something with the
Flashlight.
light,
like hitting
basically,
something with the light and like making them weak so you can get like that nice like really satisfying shot off. And then
Yeah.
even Quantum Break, like you have a number of powers that all kind of you can meld together, and it looks like in this game their protagonist, she has the ability to like fling stuff around, which
Force
looks really
powers,
fun.
yeah.
And like it just like it looks like in that like what I love about games like Inside, it looks like you're making your way through some kind of weird facility where experiments are happening and things are shifting around you. It's just like it just ticked a lot of boxes on things that I like in games, and I'm really excited to see more of that. I
Yeah.
am really excited for Control. Again,
That's
like
so
I was,
great to hear.
Like what I was saying earlier, like it was one that I immediately after the press conference was over was like, all right, I have to go watch that again.
Does it concern you? And I hate to be the party pooper. Does it concern you? And Imran, news editor, genius, tell me if I'm being a party pooper. Splashes up on the screen, published by 505.
No.
In my mind, I was like, okay, B tier budget. All right.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I think Remedy has proven that they know how to make good stuff.
And I
so.
think Remedy might benefit from it. I mean, like, their games can suffer from bloat. Maybe it's not all their fault. Maybe because, like, Microsoft, maybe they had or said, you got to put a TV show in this game.
Right.
Yeah.
But, they're, like, having them focused on something, I think, from that trailer alone, looks like it's working out for the better.
And it kind of looks like they're taking the Quantum Break tech, honestly, and like
It looked a lot like
designing
Yeah.
a new game around that and new IP around it even.
I don't know how much legally they could do that because Microsoft, but
Well, yeah, I mean,
That was
the tech,
early on,
though,
where
I don't
think,
know.
Like, Microsoft let developers own their own IPs. So maybe?
Well, they don't own the IP, but like
or at least, like,
the engine.
their
and stuff.
engine
Engine,
and
maybe.
stuff, I would think.
Right.
I guess I don't totally know. You're right,
I don't
but
understand.
But
it does look kind of like Quantum Break. is all.
I did raise an eyebrow a little bit at 505
Yeah.
for sure, but I think I'm but because it's Remedy, I'm not worried.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
also really interesting thinking about the Microsoft 5 game or the 5 studio purchases. I love this game and it's so easy, but this is the game industry and it's fun. And you know that this happened, that at some point they had a whiteboard with studios to call
Yeah.
up and reach out to. You know Remedy was on that list.
Remedy would have had to have been on there.
yeah.
And so in
for
theory,
sure.
they turned it down. That's really interesting.
yeah.
Or do you think Microsoft was like, we'll choose these four instead?
No.
No, I bet that off.
I bet they at least had a discussion.
You know, Remedy, like they just they upgraded their studio in a huge way. Like they just moved
Right.
into a new facility.
They have
Like,
a dog now.
They're growing. Yeah, they have a dog now. They're motion capturing a dog, which did not appear in the trailer for Control. So
Disappointing.
It might
but
be a different.
I've expressed to Remedy personally that dog needs to be in a game.
Yeah.
Yeah. More dogs.
More
Imran,
Get
number
that
one.
dog in the game.
Okay, so
By the way, Kyle, that was a great number one.
I know.
I loved it.
God, I did such a good job.
this is not going to be a great number one because it's something I'm personally excited for, and you may
Yeah.
have to help me out because I'm excited for it, but I don't remember the name that well.
Holy God.
Oh my god!
All right.
It is,
kidding me?
I want to say Babylon's Fall.
Yes, correct.
It is a platinum game being published by Square Enix.
I'd argue the most exciting part of the Square Enix press conference, with which, if you're listening to this or watching this after the fact, don't go back and watch.
But what if you
No.
need more Kingdom Hearts?
No, then you can watch any other press conference because they don't stop showing those crappy ass trailers.
I hope it's on the Nintendo Direct tomorrow. It's like just not even on the system. They're just
Right.
showing Kingdom Hearts.
The quadfecta.
They'll actually have sound effects in theirs. That'll be the big exclusive.
Switch exclusive.
Okay, here we go.
What the
All right. Okay. So Babylon's Fall. What did we learn? Because it was an interesting setup in that trailer.
I mean, it just looks like a not necessarily high fantasy, but a very interesting take on fantasy.
Okay.
But like it's a kind of Soulsian art style. But here's why I'm excited.
Interesting.
Here's why I'm excited. It is just solely based on Nier Automata. That
Yeah.
Square Enix realizes Platinum does well for them. And the only things that have ever prevented Platinum from making an amazing game are time and budget. And I think
Okay.
Square Enix is going to be like, just do what you need to do.
After Nier, game on.
Yeah, like that game has crossed 3 million units, and
That's
it's
awesome.
probably going to do a lot better with the Xbox One as well.
I think a huge part of that is Steam Day and Date.
Yeah.
I think it was huge for them.
And like they have proven that they can create they can do mercenary work in an inventive and exhilarating way.
Right. But I'm with you. I'm excited for that. That was one of the biggest announcements. Well, biggest surprises of the show. Top 20 surprises of the show. But
For some people, top 5.
it was fine. But the trailer itself was just kind of like walking through a calendar where it's like 4000 CE. This person did this. And I haven't like dissected the text yet. But in terms of like the structure of a trailer is very underwhelming.
But do you know what that says to me?
What's that?
It says to me that they know it's way too early to show, but they're so excited about it, they want to show it off at the show.
Okay, that could be. And again, like it was 2 years ago. I feel like everyone was like, "Holy cow, Platinum! How do they have a finger in every pie? They're working on so many games." I feel like 2018 is again another year where it's like, "Oh, they're just doing everything again here."
2014 was when they were announced as like a developer on like Star Fox, Nier, a bunch of other stuff. But like, and then it started to kind of fall apart with the Scalebound cancellation. And then Kamiya has said that Nier Automata saved the studio.
Yeah. It's huge.
So they owe Square Enix, and Square Enix owes them.
Something we've never talked about. By the way, this game Babylon's Fall is coming out. Steam and PS4 2019 is all they said. Reeves, I have a hazy.
Can you please cover up?
I have a hazy memory of when we were on the Mega Man 11 cover story trip. You went to Platinum.
Yeah.
Did anything ever come of that?
Yeah, we posted a dialogue with
Someone call it an interview?
some would call maybe that an interview online, like back in November or December.
What was
I
it
wanna
like
say.
visiting that studio?
It was very. So they let you in. They have like a very white room with like a bunch of awards and stuff in the very like center hall. There's no like reception desk or anything. It's just like a room, and you go in, and then like somebody comes out behind a locked door and says, "Oh, come this way." And there's a long hallway, and they have a row of conference rooms. And I went straight into that conference room, and then I did the interview, and then straight back out
Dialogue.
and like done. Yeah, the
Right,
dialogue.
so what happens at the end of Babylon's Fall?
You enter a white room.
Die.
Holy cow.
So it was
The room
like,
is
I
just
didn't-
that calendar that he's going past.
Right.
I didn't really get to see the studio or anything, but they were very nice, and they gave me water.
Oh, okay, that's nice. Babylon's Fall is so interesting.
They
to
love
that
my
setup.
balls.
It's like the setup was like CE, this crazy time frame. Hang on, I'm second guessing myself. Yeah. Crazy time frame where it's like a fantasy world, and then it ends with Babylon's Fall, where it's like, well, I understand Babylon's from the Bible and stuff, but like I was expecting a wackier name, where suddenly it was like some fantasy world, and then Babylon's Fall. It's like, wait, that's our world, like in terms of like stories from the Bible. And so a part of me was like, where is this? Is it going to be pure fantasy? They're just using the word Babylon.
Babylon's also from history.
Is it?
It's a real thing.
Gardens of Babylon.
Is that true?
Yeah. Those are real people.
Hang on, Reeves. I've never asked you this on air, but is the Bible real?
The Bible's history, yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, that's a great number one. Great choice. My number one is.
Do you need help remembering the name?
No, I just wrote down No More Secrets. Like, I loved surprises overall at this show, and I feel like the king of it was Bethesda, where overall, I was really bummed out by Bethesda's press conference. I feel like they have such a good message to convey. Great games everybody loves, crazy talent within that publisher. And I feel like that entire press conference, just the rubber wasn't meeting the road. It was a weird vibe. They got out of the gate with so many of their, like, hey, coming up next on stage, or this game here, they were like cushioning everything with like weird reviews and like the App Store says this game was good. Metacritic really likes this one. They were like overselling by mentioning review scores and numbers in a way that other press conferences don't really do it.
So
Anyways,
it wasn't the content, it was just the tone?
I feel like they weren't capitalizing on the power that Bethesda has. And I feel like a lot of it's the writing.
And this is your number one favorite
No,
thing?
this is a setup to my number one favorite thing, which is
okay.
then by the end of Bethesda's press conference, getting Han Solo, Todd Howard out there, just pew, 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 shooting first, as they say, Imran, right? Where he just gets out there.
Starlink.
Right, exactly.
announced
When he gets out there
Starlink.
and just says, game on, let's just announce the roadmap. Like, I'm sick of leaks. You could even count Wolfenstein a little bit to this degree as well, where they probably aren't ready to talk about it. Doom Eternal probably aren't ready to talk about it. But, like, no more leaks. Here we go. So my number one thing is just no more leaks. Just announce it. Get it out of the way. Even if we don't know anything. So Starfield's a huge one. The idea that they're like, and then after Starfield, realistically, we're talking 2022, right? 2021, The Elder Scrolls 6.
Pretty far out.
Just showing a teaser trailer for Elder Scrolls 6, no subtitle, let that mystery remain, but just game on, everybody. Yeah, we're working on it. Stop asking us about it.
I think people figured out it was Hammerfall just based on the coastline.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
really?
Interesting. Wait, how concretely? Because I saw that coastline, and a part of me was like, they're emphasizing coastline so much. This isn't Tamriel. This is going to be another continent. That's where my mind went.
I'm not sure. I can never be completely.
Well, isn't
complete, I
Hammerfall
guess.
kind of small compared to the other continents or the other?
It could just be like a part, or
areas.
it could also be a teaser image that means nothing.
Yeah, that's true. I bet they wouldn't. But they did say it's not even playable. It's in pre-production.
Yeah.
Todd Howard said it. And so all we really know is they're going to work on it after Starfield, which I would imagine would be years later. But at the same time, they also expanded to Austin and Montreal. And so there's a lot more developers on hand. So maybe they could start to ramp
BGS is
that
big
up.
enough for two games now. Just
It's true.
The question is will they do that?
Right.
But do you
right.
remember last year when Pete Hines ended the show saying everything you saw tonight will come out in 2017?
Yep.
And this year it was just the complete opposite. Like, here's a mobile game. Here's a port of a mobile game. Also,
Right.
everything else is years off.
They're just not like they're sort of reloading some things, right? You can't like fire a gun
That's the thing.
every year.
Like, remember when Capcom used to have Captivate?
Yeah.
Yes.
And, like, the reason they don't
You
do that
start
anymore.
talking.
The
Yeah.
reason they don't do that anymore is because you do that once, you have nothing the next year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of, I think, what's happening with Bethesda is last year they threw everything they had at the wall. And,
Yeah.
like, it was an amazing year for Bethesda. But this year it's like, well, what do we talk about? We don't really have a conference worth of stuff.
Dude, they had Fallout 76. They didn't have to talk about. I don't buy that. I mean, they had plenty of meat to talk about. There was Rage 2 and Fallout 76 for an average Bethesda press conference year. That's enough.
They
That's
talked
fine.
about plenty for
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, not a lack of subject matter, but a lack of subject matter that interests their audience. Because ultimately, Fallout 76 is a spin-off, and it's not the thing that they really find their audience committing to.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying in principle. Is like I feel like once you start doing that press conference every year, you feel like you're locked into that
Yeah.
press conference.
Yeah.
And like we got to have a press conference where I don't know, maybe they could have skipped a press conference one year.
I think
Right.
you skip it, you lose the spot.
That's the problem,
Yeah.
right? Is so you can't. Yeah, I'm saying it'd be nice if you could, but
Yeah.
like,
Do you guys think they should have skipped it this year? I think you guys are nuts.
I'm not saying
No, but I mean, that's why
that.
they announced what they announced.
I'm just saying you can't fire
that
a
press
gun
conference,
every year.
like it would have been a totally fine press conference, like upper half of the press conferences even,
Right.
if they wouldn't have said Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6. I just feel like that's a wonderful cherry on top, just to
I
get
think
it out of there.
Elder Scrolls Mobile being the closer would be disappointing to a lot of people.
100%, including people in the audience who were literally yelling like, "Don't toy with me!" as they announced
Why
Elder
do you
Scrolls
feel
Blades.
like they had to? Or maybe they didn't have to make these announcements. Why do you think they did make the announcements? Do you feel like they were just getting sick of people saying like, "When's the next Elder Scrolls
Totally.
coming out?"
And I know the timeline doesn't work out, but in my mind, it was like, oh, maybe it's like Walmart Canada leak scared them and shook them so much with Rage 2, but I don't think they could have cranked out those trailers.
Those
in
are
the meanwhile.
prepared for a while.
Yeah, for
beforehand.
sure. So I don't know, but I just love that idea. Keep Jason Schreier from Kotaku off their backs. Just like, F it. Yeah, we're working on these. What do you want? Let's go.
We want a little
Bring
bit of
it.
gameplay. At least.
But even beyond, like extending beyond Bethesda, I love the idea of companies that just get out of the gate and just rip off Band-Aids and say, yeah, you might have heard some rumors. We're doing it. Like just Halo Infinite. There was that one little rumor from that one dude on Twitter, and that was, hey, here's a trailer. You're not going to learn much of it, but here's a name. Yep, we're working on it. Give us some time.
But by and large, E3 has moved away from that.
I know. That's why it was so refreshing and fun, wasn't it?
I mean, like,
I don't
we're
know
still
that
making fun of Final Fantasy VII. Like, Crackdown 3 was the fourth time
Yeah.
this year.
I don't know that I love seeing the far off
Really?
stuff. Yeah, I don't know. But it's weird. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Elder Scrolls 6, yeah, that's great. And like Metroid Prime 4, sure. But like Starfield, was it? Starfield. Like, I would have been happy to wait to learn more about that game and at least see a little tiny bit of gameplay or something. It just depends, I think. Sequels, maybe I'm happy to learn far out, but maybe new things.
Yeah.
Show me more when you are ready to announce them.
Sounds
Okay.
like everybody's different. Because
What
I
about-
like
oh, weird.
Starfield, but like the Elder Scrolls 6 was like, what? What's the point? You're not telling me anything of substance
Just so it won't
there.
leak, so they can be in control of their own message. They can
But
rack
like
up the
we
YouTube
know they're
views,
gonna make
done.
an Elder Scrolls game again. Like that's not an
Did we?
announcement.
I mean, honestly, like, the
Yes.
real reason was because they want people to think about Elder Scrolls and then subscribe to Elder Scrolls Online or play Elder Scrolls Legend. They want to...
Blades.
I mean, basically,
yeah.
like...
to them, there's a benefit of announcing it and get people to talk about it. I
Yeah.
agree. To the consumer, for me, I didn't feel like there was a lot of value there.
I mean, also, we work in circles where that's like an announcement of something far off doesn't get us necessarily like super hyped. But there are people who have YouTube reaction videos who are like, oh my god, Elder Scrolls.
And
like,
then they're gonna spend like the next 6 years dreaming like, what's it gonna be, and like detail every like
you guys,
last ounce of like news that comes out of that studio. Yeah,
We're going to be dissecting that teaser trailer for so long.
we were literally just talking about coastlines like 2 minutes ago.
that's right.
Yeah, it's true. But even like, expanding even beyond Bethesda, beyond Microsoft. Well, maybe not beyond Microsoft, but I love that they got Battletoads out there.
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's just a little teaser. I love that stuff. I love, even though it's dopey, like, hey, we're in the audience with Vincent Pella from Respawn. Like, I love the idea of Respawn saying the name of their game, which is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Sure.
A couple quick details. Just get that out of the way so it doesn't leak. It's on their terms. Let's move forward. Let's do that classic E3 thing of you have a lot to look forward to. That's great. But like a Marvel movie, like we're also going to extend the goal line. You have a lot on the horizon to look forward to as well. Basically, we can never die or miss out on these good games. That's what I'm trying to communicate to you guys.
So we'll all live forever.
Just because they announce a game, though, doesn't mean they can't have a leak down the line of like something else. Like
For sure, but I think a name is the easiest thing to leak.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then again, Fallout 76 got announced and then
Right.
not detailed at all until E3 except for a Kotaku report.
Yeah, 100%.
and
Yeah.
all I'm saying is you can't fire a gun every year.
Can't fire a gun every year, as they say. Hey, you guys, there are more surprises than this.
What?
Do you guys want to rapid fire through some surprises from E3 2018?
Yeah, I like that idea.
That
I got some.
It's debatable how much we want to talk about these, but there's so many interesting things. Reeves, do you have some? Which one are
Yeah.
you going to start with, man?
These are in no particular order, but something that
One by one, right? Or should he name a couple?
One by one. Yeah,
One
one
by
by one.
one.
Let's
Okay.
go.
what surprised me was that Naughty Dog doubles down on the gore. And we didn't even talk about. Actually, what surprised me is
Chat
that we didn't
noticed.
talk about Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
None of us brought that up as our top 5, which is kind of crazy.
That
but,
is interesting.
that they doubled down on the gore. And I liked Last of Us 1, but man, there's something like they're pushing it a little bit further than I want them to.
Well, at the same time, I like that trailer and that whole gameplay session for Last of Us Part 2 because of the flip. I love that it opens with a sweet moment with Ellie and it closes with Ellie smiling.
Oh, this is hands down a way better
Oh, for
trailer.
sure. But I felt like Ellie smiling at the end of that trailer had the same impact for me personally. I was like, oh, that's such a crazy, bold thing as like the shotgun blast to close it out from what, E3 2012, whenever that was, 2013. When they showed The Last of Us Part 1. And so they still had that big impact. In the middle, yeah, there was a lot of stabbing and throat slitting, but the cushion of the sweetness, it felt like such a different, remarkable
So maybe
Last
they
of Us
did learn
sequence.
their lesson, actually.
I think
after
so.
all. Yeah.
I mean, I think they kind of see Last of Us as the opposite of Uncharted, which is kind of lighthearted and
Fun.
family drama. It's Indiana Jones.
Right.
While this is a much more dramatic, gory
This is
action
the
thing.
road.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great one, though. We'll definitely talk about Last of Us Part 2 in the future. I think people are going to get some longer sessions learning about it. I don't know if playing it, but certainly learning about it. So we'll talk about it on future episodes of the podcast for sure. Kyle, next surprise.
Yeah, mine are just kind of random scattershot.
Love it. That's what we want,
What
man.
was up with these Kingdom Hearts trailers? They were missing sound effects, right?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
100% Kyle. I'm with you as well. Like,
I really
they
thought
showed,
I was watching a broken trailer.
I mean,
100%.
one, I can understand maybe like Microsoft was, I don't know, sound missing, whatever. Then
Yeah.
every other trailer did it.
and it's just,
get
and
it.
they just delayed it, and it's like not clear if sound effects aren't done. They wanted to emphasize the music because they had like custom tracks
Yeah.
that they
The-
showed
the
like
music,
the artists
it
It was
for.
a
Kingdom
new
Hearts is a big
Hikaru song. Like,
Okay,
that's a
there
big
we
deal.
go.
Yeah.
But the part that's crazy to me is, here's the problem. I think maybe I'm the only one in this camp, but like, I want to love Kingdom Hearts. I love Final Fantasy. I love Square. I love Disney. I've never gotten into that series. This should be your pitch for why I should care. They showed 3 trailers. They shoved that down our throats. First half of all 3 of those trailers, totally fine. Showing a new world, couple weird dialogue beats where it's like, okay, Anna in Frozen is upset. She can't touch anybody, whatever. Like, it's dumb to put it in the middle of that movie, but whatever. I'll go along with it. And then the second half of every trailer was effing embarrassing. That was
Yeah.
garbage.
And, like-
garbage. Just
Yeah.
lore dump of nonsense. And no sound effects. It sounded like that Mission Impossible 5 trailer where it was like, wait, no, it was The Mummy, where they only had like one audio
Yes.
channel and you could hear Tom Cruise like, in the plane, except it was Mickey deep throat and
Yeah.
goofy.
I mean,
what the hell
and
was
I'm like
going on.
totally. I love Frozen. I think that's a fantastic film. I'm happy to explore that world.
Totally.
Pirates of the Caribbean looks cool. Like, but those trailers is like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, it's
It was
insane.
frustrating. Yeah.
No, I'm 100% with you. It's like
Okay.
you're turning off potential fans for Kingdom Hearts.
Action looks awesome.
Yes.
Reveals awesome, but your trailer is functionally broken.
And it's always the back half of all of those trailers. They're terrible.
I don't think Square Enix understands that it has been 14 years since the last Kingdom Hearts mainline game.
I think
Dude.
that's like there's no sound effects. Like,
That too. That is a whole different thing. That is
my focus. Like even the content of it, I think I was more on board with it than you guys. But like I was just like this I think I'm watching a broken video. You know?
Dude, and honestly, combined with the idea that Kingdom Hearts 3 delayed into January of 2019 now, this is embarrassing. Like, Nomura, look, from the outside perspective, I don't know what's going on in that studio, but from the outside perspective, it seems pretty effing clear this guy can't run a project. Like, between Versus 13 and Kingdom Hearts 3 alone, get him the hell out of there. I don't want him touching my Final Fantasy VII remake.
Well, he
so
did the first
sad.
2 Kingdom Hearts, right?
Yes.
Right, and those seem to crank out at a decent clip, and then it's just giving
Okay.
him more money, giving him more power within Square.
Ben,
It's a nightmare.
This is the timeline. Kingdom Hearts 1, Kingdom Hearts 2, then he worked on Versus 13 until Kingdom Hearts 3.
Kingdom Hearts 2 was still like a 5-year break.
No,
between 1 and 2,
2001,
wasn't it?
2004.
No, in between first Kingdom Hearts and then the second one. That
Yeah,
was,
said,
2001, 2004, I think.
but still,
Right, and then we're going on 14 years. And
2001
And I understand,
for the
like,
first
you know,
one?
he's
Sure.
involved.
I
He
think so.
directed some of those Dream Drop Distance, 358/2, all that stuff.
He's not acted as director. He's acted as series producer in those. The last game he directed was Kingdom Hearts 2.
Dude, F. Nomura. Get him the hell out of here. I don't care how talented he is. Oh, he can draw some great zips. Like, that's fine. I'm a big Final Fantasy
what's
fan
a
in general.
zip?
What is a zips? You can draw some great zips.
Some zippers.
oh,
He's a fine art director. He's a fine artist, but it's insane. And I feel like when we visited Square for the Final Fantasy 15 cover story, there was a real vibe from Tabata and Final Fantasy 14's director too that like, this is a new era Square. We're cranking these games out in a good way. Like, we know how to let the rubber hit the road. Clearly Nomura doesn't. He's in that old, just sitting on a ivory tower up there within Square. It's embarrassing. It sucks.
There's a manga creator named Kubotite who did Bleach. And he had a statement once that, like, why does your story never go anywhere? He's like, whenever I get bored, I start drawing more characters and putting them in the story. I think that's Nomura's problem. Whenever he gets bored, he just goes on different flights of fancy.
And he draws Jack Sparrow, which is weird seeing like real life looking Jack Sparrow.
I think that's why
That was in Kingdom Hearts 2, to be fair.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's why
I understand,
Kingdom
but
Hearts-
the new trailer had like a very
Yes.
weird realistic.
I think that's why that game has so much story bloat that like it feels like a word cloud.
Yeah.
That he did whenever he gets bored, he's like, okay, well, this is gonna happen with Sora and them. I'm gonna introduce these characters that are also actually Sora but not. Like that is just. I used to understand the Kingdom Hearts story, and you know how much work that took then. Now
we want to like it. I want to like that.
I mean, I'm
game.
gonna play that game, and I'm gonna probably love it, and like Kim and I are gonna freak out about it, but it's what the fuck were those trailers?
Right, 100%. Okay,
Maybe it wouldn't have been so bad if they didn't show it 2 or 3 times.
Yes,
so many times.
and the back halves were not this different. They were the same, like mostly the same.
Okay.
Okay, this is supposed to be rapid fire. What do you got, Imran?
Okay, so this isn't so much a surprise as a thing I want to point out.
Yeah.
Remember when Phil Spencer was like, every game I'm going to show to you is like a major thing, like a new reveal
Yeah.
after this. And then the very first game he showed, he made mention of like, my trip to Japan, I went to these guys and showed them a new
Right.
thing. And it was Jump Force, which, I don't care about Jump Force that much.
Hang on, explain what Jump Force is, though.
Jump Force is a Shonen Jump-based fighting game that the revealed characters have been Luffy from One Piece, Goku from Dragon Ball, Frieza from Dragon Ball, Naruto from Naruto, and Light and Ryuk from Death Note.
So it's like Naruto fighting Frieza in this 3D action game.
I think it kind of looks bad, like we put Mario in an Unreal 4 tech demo sort of way.
Okay.
But anyway, the reason I think he did that, or Microsoft did that, is because the Xbox One has had such a problem with Japanese games
Yeah.
and people who like Japanese games. And think about last year. There was no Persona 5 on Xbox One, no Nier Automata, no Yakuza. If you like Japanese games, why would you ever recommend the Xbox One?
They did have Fighters last year, which was a big deal.
True. And Nier Automata is
No,
coming to
Fighters was
Xbox
this
One,
year, but
Imran.
yeah.
it's coming.
But yeah, it's not
Yeah.
selling well.
No, but
and-
I think that's the thing he's trying to get across is like we're trying to mend that problem.
Sure, yeah.
And I like there'll otherwise be no reason to show that, you know.
I think it was because Fighters was such a huge hit last year.
I think it could be.
You
Yeah.
know,
I mean,
that they
possibly,
They
yeah.
wanted another like Dragon Ball.
But-
they wanted
but
Goku
And
on
he
there again.
made the way he made mention of like my trip to Japan, which people have made fun of on the internet.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
he's
yeah.
talked about like I went to my trip to Japan, and like every time something missed the Xbox One, it's like Phil's trip to Japan must have gone great.
Yeah, boy. I think for a lot of people, they don't know that those Shonen Jump characters have been in games before. There's been like fighting games. Surya, what are those called? Help me out.
They're called fighting games.
The fighting games, the Shonen Jump fighting games.
The Jump Ultimate Stars.
Jump Stars,
Jump
and stuff
Superstars
like that.
and
So it's
Ultimate
not
Stars.
unprecedented. It's just like the 3D take on it and getting that front and center stage. I think it
Yeah.
will surprise a lot of people that they're all together. But that's a good one. All right, should we keep flying?
Yeah.
Make it
Okay,
faster.
EA revealed that new Command and Conquer, which I thought was a fun twist, but also just like sad that hey, Command and Conquer on mobile, and
It's
now we're
back.
gonna esports talk. What do they call it? Shoutcast over this entire PlayStation. It just went on for so
Screen
long.
Lord.
It was a
It was
real
not good.
bummer. And as like an RTS fan, it bummed me out. Also, not to mention that Gamescom 2013, I was in Germany and they had the free-to-play Command and Conquer. They did the exact same thing and then canceled it. And so,
Oh, really?
Yeah, they shoutcasted an entire gameplay match of Command and Conquer, the free-to-play one, and then canceled it. And so it's so sad to see this now mobile version, like Command and Conquer again, everybody. Let's shoutcast it again.
But like a not quite Command and Conquer, really. It's
Right.
kind of
It's
like
Clash
this
of
weird
Clans.
I mean,
Clash
it looked
Royale
terrible.
type
Like
thing.
even as a
Yeah.
mobile game, it was here's two bases on the same screen. Just do things, I guess.
Yeah, it's an odd one. Okay, that's mine. Reese, what do you got, man?
What I got is that Microsoft got me excited about Halo again with Halo Infinite.
Great
I was
one.
surprised about that. I actually think that they didn't say a lot, but what they said was kind of the right thing. And like they're kind of like going back to Master Chief. We're back on a ring. It's like new tech. It actually looks really good.
looks
I think.
awesome.
Yeah.
And I don't think that trailer's getting enough credit for just it's so bold and weird to start, and maybe just because it started the press conference, they wanted to confuse people of what it was. But I love the idea of a Halo game just focusing on beauty, just treating it like a Planet Earth documentary episode with all these weird aliens, and that made me more nostalgic for the Halo franchise because I love Halo 1 more than anything since Anniversary. Of just like showing green pastures, the beauty of the ring world. Like, yeah, I'm back on board. Whatever this is, I'm so much more interested.
I mean, do you remember a couple of, I think it was months ago that when 343 was responding to feedback of Halo 5,
Yeah.
like, we heard you, we're going to bring back Master Chief. And everyone's like, no, that's not what we were saying. But it seems like it worked. Like, they're hitting the nostalgia harder because that's what they need to do right now.
Yeah.
Because their original ideas aren't working.
And it showed Master Chief insert a little Cortana chip and whatnot, but does it mean that 6 just will never happen?
I mean, the rumors today were this game is Halo 6, but it's being called Halo Infinite because they're separating it up.
And Infinite implies living world, living game, right?
That's what it implies.
Okay.
maybe.
And is it weird to have that type of game at, in theory, the very tail end of a console generation?
Maybe it is.
Yeah, I mean, what else are they going to do, though?
We don't know.
We don't know how the next console, like, if everything's cloud-based, what does it matter?
Game on. Let's go. Reeves, great one. Kyle, go.
Oh, the trailer for The Quiet Man was very bad.
Holy God, explain this.
So it was a live-action trailer. They hired bad actors, which was an interesting choice of theirs. And it just showed a guy who I believe he was deaf, right? It was the idea.
Yeah.
Wait, oh really?
I think
I didn't
so.
get that at all.
Yeah,
What
so-
press conference was this?
Square
Square
Enix's.
Enix. And it was,
Did
he
you
like
see this,
walked,
Reeves?
No, I
it
didn't
is
see
this
the one.
is this guy with an emo haircut walked into a back alley, and these thugs just attacked him for no reason. It awkwardly shifted into gameplay for like 15 seconds.
Yeah.
And then shifted back to real, like the actors. It did nothing to it interest me in what this game was. If they had splashed a logo that said, I already forgot what it was called. What was it
Quiet
called?
Man.
The Quiet Man on screen, I would have been more intrigued by what they showed.
100%. And
Yeah.
Reeves, it felt like the live action component and basically formula of Quantum Break combined with like Square Enix's The Bouncer. Like it is just,
Yeah.
it was such a stupid, weird vibe, but it's like primo E3 snark of watching that trailer.
Yeah,
and just
it
be
was
like, oh,
Alright.
Square, what are you
Like,
doing?
Alright.
go watch it because
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's
bad.
like it's a pre-recorded video. Like the Square conference is a pre-recorded video. How did no one watch that and go, no, we can't. No.
We'll tweet that one. We'll tweet that one out. Yeah, so that was a
100%.
weird thing.
That's a
Yeah.
great one. Imran, what do you got?
What was up with the Anthem panel they did? Because like they had BioWare out there,
Yeah.
and then they were showing like the footage behind them, but it was like the same 5 seconds of concept art and like a character jumping off a cliff over and over and looping. And it's like,
I want to jump off a cliff.
They had to know.
It was weird.
They had to know what happened last time they didn't show enough of a BioWare game, right? Like,
Well, I mean, were they trying? I mean, I guess they were just trying to just talk about it more.
It's just a weird structure of your press conference to at the tail end be like,
Yeah.
let's wind things down and talk on the couch with Casey Hudson and Mark Dara and the writer, who I forget the name of, but we didn't meet her when we were on that cover story trip. But I assume she's great. It was a weird vibe just of Andrew and Nate talking to them a little bit.
Throwing tweets up on the screen. Right?
honestly,
Yeah.
that should have been the show opener or like the middle, and then close it with a really cool trailer.
Right.
I don't know, like their pacing was entirely off.
It was odd.
Yeah. But to learn more, go to GameInformer.com/Anthem. We have a ton of cool info, but it was
At your own
an
pace.
odd structure.
At your own pace.
Let's see. For me, it's also EA related chronologically here. It was the idea that I think like EA with Anthem, with Battlefield, they hit it so hard that like loot boxes, no go. No loot boxes from us anymore. And they were expecting like a wave of applause. And it was like smattering of applause level. And it was one of those just, reminders that, of course, there's still microtransactions. Like, gamers still hate all this nonsense. Just because you're not doing the super crappy thing and only doing the kind of crappy thing, you're not a hero.
Yeah.
Did you see Andy's tweet about when they announced Battle Royale for Battlefield?
What did he say?
Said the audience booed.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah.
I hate that. Let him try it, damn it. Okay, Reeves, what do you got?
I'm surprised that Ubisoft doesn't understand what an origin story is for Assassin's Creed Origins, and their next game is 400 years earlier.
That they've been working on for 3 years.
Yeah.
And just the idea that, like, they're getting that timeline down.
Also, they messed up the SEO on Assassin's Creed because, like, now ACO means 2 different games in 2 consecutive years. And they can't call it Odyssey because that applies to
Oh,
Mario.
my God.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Like, so now you have to say the entire title to understand what people are talking about.
AC Odyssey, probably.
Yeah.
It's all Greek to me. Kyle, what do you got?
Destiny 2 Forsaken and Sea of Thieves Forsaken Shores.
That is
Imran?
surprising.
I mean,
That's all I've got.
I'm still reeling. I don't know.
I spoke to some folks from Sea of Thieves earlier, and I brought that up to them, and they were like, okay, great. Good job pointing out that there are 2 words that
They
are
should
the
have
same.
maced you on sight. That's so boring. Please, Imran, say something
also,
interesting.
Sea of Solitude.
Also, Doom Eternal and Halo Infinite, to steal Leo Vader's joke from his
Oh, that is
excellent,
interesting.
excellent
I'm glad
videos
that
he's
Id
posting
has a
every night.
thesaurus.
I'm also very glad that I was watching Game Informer's live stream at the time and YouTube chat during that. Someone said, "Do me turtle," which is very funny. Imran, hit us with a good one.
Gears of War 5 actually looks really good.
I'm not familiar with the game Gears of War 5.
I'm sorry. Gears.
Oh,
5.
Gears 5.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, is that Funko Pop thing?
I didn't want to mention that because I didn't want to do 3 negative things in a row.
Yeah.
But wow.
Dude,
Very odd.
okay, so Gears of War is no longer Gears of War unless it's Gears of War Tactics. They announced 3 Gears of War games. Gears
surprising.
Pop? What was it called?
Gears
Gears
Pop,
Pop.
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a Funko Pop mobile game, Gears of War thing. One of the weirdest reveals of the show. Absolutely surprising. Gears of War Tactics, which looks like Gears of War XCOM.
Which looks cool.
yeah, Reeves, you into it?
I'm into it.
Okay, cool. And then
wanna see
Gears
more.
5.
Like a right fit.
And with the Imran, Gears skeptic overall. The Gears 5 trailer, which I guess I like that they're just calling Gears 5 at this point too. Focusing on Kate, focusing on Snow. I feel like it's as bold as they could get and capture as much interest as they could possibly get in a Gears of War 5.
Yeah. I mean, like, from what I've heard about that game, it's going to be like, it's open world and using Kate as a protagonist and not just relying on, like, the son of Marcus Phoenix, who's exactly like Marcus Phoenix.
JD.
It's like,
He shaved his head, man.
He does look very different.
and now he has a weird arm.
It's weird how different he looks.
It's weird that they're in the snow and he has a big old beard and it's like, oh, little God of War, Gears of War, of course, that comparison. Also, I like that Kate and Mel, who's her buddy, I forget, but they're like, we got to go on that journey back to where it all began. And like, let's go. And then it shows like how they're traveling there.
Oh, Trey
she's
Parker's
like,
in the game.
But they're traveling there and she's like on a ice windsurfer, like, like that's the best way they have to go to this new
Like, I think you could sit up there with him. I don't think you have to
drive the car. It's so stupid.
Yeah, they have vehicles in Gears of War.
Right. It was silly, but
I think I just realized why it's called Gears 5. Because they didn't want to call Gears of War 4
yep.
that because 4 and 4 rhyme.
Right.
And now they just decided to keep it. just keep it Gears.
Wait, but they called it Gears of War 4.
Did they? I thought
Yeah.
it was just Gears 4.
No, they called it Gears of War 4.
No, they definitely called it Gears 4 at the beginning.
They
Maybe
taglined it Gears 4.
Here's what it was. Honestly, Reeves, we were on that cover story trip. I believe that at the first E3 showing, they said Gears 4 on
Yeah.
the screen. And then I think Rod Ferguson, I believe he said at the studio that he was pushing to call it Gears of War 4.
Oh, so somebody else is
So
trying
it's
to
definitely,
push
it was on the
opposite
bubble,
way.
but it was called Gears of War 4.
They should have
Yeah.
called it Gears of 4.
Of course they should have called it
Yeah.
Gears of War. But yeah, Gears of War, we probably should have talked about it more. Maybe we will later on in the podcast and the feed throughout the days. Okay, for me, surprising that Battletoads is back from Microsoft.
Yeah.
And the fact that, I don't know if it's a direct inspiration from Cuphead, but I love the idea that one of the few things they emphasize is like hand-drawn characters. And like the little bits that we saw, if it keeps that art style, like that's cool.
It was a very way forward like art style.
Totally. Actually, do we know who's developing it?
Not way forward.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I want to see more for sure. I think it's fun, and I want to see more of that
It'll
art
probably be a
style.
smaller game, but cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you want duplicates or
No.
Because I have like Jade is evil now and Beyond Good and Evil surprisingly,
No,
which kind of talk
boo.
about. Oh, boo! I'm surprised that our Cuphead DLC is coming in 2019. That's a long time to wait for Cuphead DLC.
What we did they DLC
Takes a
might
long
be a
time to
stretch.
draw those
We don't
pictures,
know
dude.
that it's DLC.
Yeah, it is. They
Yeah,
said it at the
but
beginning.
still.
Yeah,
It said
we don't
DLC at the
know,
beginning.
but
And
we
they
do
don't
really?
know.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, you're right. Well, you know, it's
But I'm excited for it.
A lot of frames, dude.
I really
Miss
wanted them
Chalice?
to like pre-delay it and just say like 2019 and it just changes to 2020.
Right.
Is it new levels or just that you play as an
It's one new world, one new island.
and then you can
cool.
play as her through the rest
Miss
of the game?
Chalice. Yeah.
I guess so. I'm not
That's
sure.
what I thought. I don't
I
know.
assume so. Kyle, what do you got?
I'm glad. I think I'm out.
What do you? Okay, Imran, what do you
out
got?
already.
I
Yeah.
think Ghost of Tsushima looks kind of cool.
Yeah.
I think it's looks janky in the way Sucker Punch games look janky.
How dare you?
What?
That's
Sucker Punch
janky?
games look
What are you
great.
talking
No,
about?
they look by janky. I mean,
Why
like,
would you say that?
a certain way the animation goes.
Good.
I think you're wrong,
I really
Imran,
like,
but I do think that
yeah.
seeing that based on that first teaser trailer and then seeing the gameplay demo at PlayStation's conference, it was a moment of like, oh, this is just a game.
Yeah.
You know?
I actually, yeah, I did. In that regard, yes, I had that. Same
It's like
reaction,
it's
yeah.
the way frames are cut between animations, and it's like something they did with Sly Cooper and what they did with Infamous. It feels and looks a certain way in Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, I
Dude,
think
it's
that's
like
what you're
that.
saying. Maybe it looks a little awkward, but it benefits gameplay.
Yeah, I
Like,
don't think
Cole
I don't
moves-
think it looks. I think it's their style.
like the way Cole moves in Infamous looks a little weird.
Yeah.
but he plays so well. You know, and I bet
Yeah.
that's kind of
Yes.
what we're seeing.
They
also,
go for gameplay over like
Yeah.
look,
Yeah.
which I'm for.
yes,
and you talk about animation, like my favorite part of the entire Ghost of Tsushima demo and like the leaves falling, I think was great. Overall, the aesthetic was great. But I love like the first time the character took out his sword, how fast that was.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
fact that it was just like as samurai as possible, just like flink, and then just a big old slice. Also, I
One-
love
a
Talk about
quick
good
death.
zips.
good zips, absolutely.
zips.
And talking about like and talking again about like the camera, I think it was really interesting. The camera wasn't stuck behind the character. It wasn't just like third person soul style combat. Like during some of those fights, the camera was like to the side. Like it was doing some weird stuff.
It got really Bushido Blade at the end.
Yeah, it really did. Yeah, full on Blade. For me, surprising how much of free fall and interest there was from last year to this year in Quake Champions. I feel like it was Bethesda getting out there and begging for anybody to care.
They
about
were
Quake
literally giving it away for
Champions.
free.
Yeah, please, Quake Champions, people.
I mean, I booted it up a couple of weeks ago, and like there was no one playing. I
boot
could
it
not
up,
get
boot
a
it out.
match.
That's so sad. Reeves, what do you got?
I'm surprised that Bethesda stole my joke from Game Enforcer about Skyrim being on Alexa, and it's real.
Yeah, it being real was the part that threw me.
Yeah,
that's fun. I like that sketch though. It was funny.
It was funny.
helps
So-
that they hired like one of the best sketch comedians
Yes.
in the world.
All right, we should
you know?
explain. Game Enforcer, we do every April with Game Informer, where it's just a bunch of jokes, and we talked about new Skyrim editions, and one of them was an Alexa
Yeah.
edition.
Which,
And
by
then
the way,
that
if
was
you
great.
like, I embedded a photo of that in the story about
Oh,
Alexa.
good,
So if you go
okay.
find that story on our site, you'll see it.
But do you, in your heart of hearts, believe that Bethesda ripped us off, or is it just such a lazy joke that, of course, they thought of it too?
lazy. Come on. No, I mean I don't think they ripped us off. I think it's just two geniuses.
Todd Howard.
No, Ben
Yeah.
Reeves and Keegan Michael Key.
That's
Of
right.
course,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But I love that it's real.
It was funny.
I think that's
and
really
I
cool.
thought the sketch was funny.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Imran.
Are we just going back to me again?
Yeah.
I was not prepared to
I
go be
wrote
that
down.
fast.
I'm glad
Yeah.
Fallout 76 can be played solo, but I think we talked about that.
Yeah, that's
already.
good. All right.
So
Imran.
I think the nuke thing in Fallout 76 is super weird, and it kind of goes against the tone of Fallout.
The fact that nukes are still around, because in theory they should have launched them all.
No, but it should be like Fallout isn't at its heart a denuclearization or anti-nuclear tale.
Uh-huh.
It's like, this is the horrors of nuclear weapons. And now it's like, we just left them around. You can nuke it whoever you want in multiplayer.
No, I'm no Fallout expert. But is the message of Fallout really the horror of nukes? That's Metal Gear. Like,
It's also Metal Gear, but like Fallout is, this is
the
what
fun
happened
of nukes, isn't it?
in that you're being killed by a radioactive bear.
Yeah, daddy.
Yeah, I guess Fallout is just, I don't know. It's like, to me, it's always been like the nukes happen. Let's just do the best we can. Where
Right.
comparatively, Metal Gear is like, we can't let this happen.
Right.
You know?
And I don't
So-
want to get political, and I will ban any of you from getting political, but it is interesting, like the amount of nukes that were on stage during the press conference this year while Trump is meeting with Kim Jong-un. It's just a good time and a place timestamp for E3 2018. Like, this is a vibe, man. This is a vibe in our mind space. But yes, I hear you. I have a similar thing a little bit. I'm shocked by Todd Howard, who I don't believe likes online games, is not the biggest fan of games that aren't just single-player RPGs, that they got him up on stage to really promote and hype up the idea of an online Fallout as much as he did.
They needed him to.
They needed him to. He
Otherwise,
did
it would have felt like a bad spinoff.
Right. As Batman said, good soldier. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He said that to Robin in Dark Knight Returns.
That's right.
But
Gotcha.
it's just crazy that he got up there, and I bought it. I don't think he's being disingenuous. It's like,
Yeah.
did he come around, or what's going on here?
Todd's good on stage.
Todd's good on stage.
He's got
Todd
good
is
stage
God.
presence.
Reeves, what do you got?
I'm surprised that Telltale's still making Walking Dead games, and they announced a final season. Apparently,
They did that like a couple months ago, man.
did they? That was announced a couple. Well,
I'm
all right.
surprised you aren't in the loop.
I'm very surprised.
Imran,
as
let's
well.
go. What do you got?
Battletoads again.
That's very good.
Yeah.
For me, Square Enix's press conference, it's small. It's a crossover. I love the Final Fantasy 14 cross Monster Hunter World.
It's
event.
especially
And
funny
you will
'cause,
be
like,
playing it?
I played 30 hours of Final Fantasy 14, Kyle.
Do you know?
So help me God, I really did. And it's good.
There are 2 steps listed to how to play the Monster Hunter World content. First step is create an account. Second step is level to level 70.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's really interesting. I had no idea it did that. I like that idea. I like everyone drinking potions. Was that like an Oron skin? Looking in the beginning, it was like a weird vibe out of the gate. But I think it's fun to have these 2 big games cross over in such an interesting way. I don't think it'll make me go back and play it, but I'm happy that Monster Hunter World's expanding for the crossover outside of that even. Does anybody have any more surprises?
Well, I'm surprised with all those leaks from Canadian Walmart that the one that seems like wasn't real or was maybe a red herring was Splinter Cell.
The one.
Yeah.
It
The
really
one
was
that
the
I-
one.
Yes.
And the one I wanted the most was also Splinter Cell.
Also, Leo mentioned this in our live streams, but they had like green lights on the sides of the stage, seemingly setting it up after like in between every sequence and nothing. That's crazy. A biggest surprise. Oh, Reese, you have more.
I'm also surprised that Joseph Gordon-Levitt owns a company.
Also, Elijah Wood.
Yeah. I mean, I have a bunch of dumb ones. We mentioned most
Hit
of them
it.
already. I'm surprised that Bethesda doesn't understand why we like Fallout. I'm surprised that Unraveled 2 exists
And is out
and
now.
is out now.
That is
was
weird.
kind of a fun
Speaking
company.
of not understanding why we like things,
Yeah.
is Just Cause 4 a little too grim and dark for anybody else?
It's just spooky tornadoes.
Yeah, but like the entire
They need a marketing tone. I'm sure the game will be fine.
hopefully.
Yeah.
I'm
I
also
thought that looked fun.
I'm also surprised we only got 17 new Kingdom Hearts 3 trailers.
They really should have gone for the even 20.
Yeah.
Was it scary to anybody else when Todd Howard said that more people played Fallout Shelter than any of their
Yes.
main games combined?
Yeah, but you download that, you go, okay, this is interesting for like a minute,
Right.
then you delete it.
Right.
It was scary. It made me uncomfortable.
I'm surprised and delighted that this year both Microsoft and Bethesda really hit it home, and I feel like this is the biggest E3 ever for the one, the only. Talking John Denver, ladies and gentlemen. This is John Denver's GDE3, as far as I can tell.
Well, I mean, that song was also featured heavily in the Kingsman sequel too.
Oh, really?
So
Really?
it's like it's been like this thing at the forefront for like a
also
couple
that
months.
other movie about the bank heist. Remember
Logan Lucky.
Logan Lucky. It's at
Yeah.
the end of Logan Lucky. Like in the last couple of years, John Denver, if you look at like that Google Trends, skyrocketed.
Spotify plays like
It
way
could
up
not
there.
be higher. Ready? Country road, take me home to the place I belong.
Virginia, Mountain Mama.
Mountain Mama.
Take me home. Country road.
Thank you so much for watching or listening to this episode of the Game Informer Show. We'll be back every week. Every day of this week throughout E3. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we'll have editors talking about the games they've played. We'll have developers in here on a big old couch panel. It should be a good time. Subscribe
Reeves
on
will wear
iTunes, Google
pants.
Play. Reeves will wear
right.
pants. We
I'll
promise.
figure it out.
Thank you so much for everybody that tuned in. We love you. We'll see you tomorrow night, everybody. Bye.
And that John Denver's full of. Take me home.